Chapter 752. Rushing up to the 75th step, the Chaos Temple floating outside his personal space rumbled again. It seemed to have become more mysterious, majestic, and vast. The consumption of 20 Taoist rhymes. How many people in the world can bear it? Xing Hui sensed the rate of consumption of Taoist rhymes and sighed. As he appeared in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, he diverted some of his attention to look at the new characteristic derived from the 75th step of the Chaos Temple. However, when he saw the various miraculous characteristics of this characteristic, his footsteps paused slightly as he stepped into the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. There's actually such a characteristic. Xing Hui stared at the new characteristic derived from this new characteristic. Freezing art. This freezing was not a freezing of the person's life level, but freezing the characteristics of the Son of Chaos, cutting off the connection between the Son of Chaos and the Chaos Temple. In other words, when the freezing art was in effect, the other Son of Chaos's chaotic characteristics would be stripped away. The duration is related to the difference between the freezing art's level and the chaos level. The level 1 freezing art could only be effective on Sons of Chaos who were 9 levels lower. In other words, it could only freeze the chaotic characteristics of a Son of Chaos at the 66th step of the Chaos Temple. The duration was also not long, only 10 breaths of time. However, for cultivators who were used to the various mysterious characteristics of the Chaos Temple, 10 breaths of time was enough to completely change the outcome of a battle. It was like the teleportation technique that saints were best at. If they were about to use the teleportation technique to escape, the freezing art would suddenly freeze the various characteristics of the Son of Chaos, and even the Chaos Temple would not be able to sense it. In the end, there would only be death. This freezing art is simply a killing technique for the Son of Chaos. Moreover, as far as I know, the highest level of chaos in the entire divine wilderness is the Chaos Holy Man, the Tai Yi Emperor, and Supreme God Ancient Wilderness. They should be around the 44th step of the Chaos Temple. The 44th step is a full 31 steps of difference. Wouldn't the Son of Chaos's characteristics be stripped away for hundreds of years if the freezing art were to hit him? It should be known that the freezing time would increase exponentially with every difference in rank. In other words, the difference of 31 ranks would cause the freezing time to last for tens of billions of breaths. If converted to time, it would be hundreds of years or even thousands of years. This was a number that made people despair. It's a pity that even I can't afford to consume 20 Taoist rhythms in a day. Perhaps only those who occupy a few or a dozen worlds and earn tens of thousands of Taoist rhythms each year can easily sustain this level of chaos. Xing Hui glanced at him regretfully. However, even though he couldn't use it, he could use it as a hidden trump card when fighting against some Sons of Chaos. After all, once those top Sons of Chaos were stripped of their chaos characteristics, their combat strength would definitely plummet. Taking advantage of this opportunity, as long as the difference in strength between the two sides wasn't too great, he could completely turn the situation around. Anyway, the chaos level has already reached the 75th level. In case Emperor Tai Yi uses teleportation to escape, I'll try it on him. Xing Hui thought as his gaze finally landed on the primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion before him. As expected. As Xing Hui raised the chaos level to the 75th level, the primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion indeed underwent a new round of changes. The number of items sealed in the walls reached a total of 30. Xing Hui's gaze swept across the 30 items one by one. Soon, a ball of gray air exuding a boundless mysterious aura appeared before him. The originator. Swish. Xing Hui's figure flashed and directly appeared beside the originator. Looking at this item, his face finally revealed a look of joy. Very good, this originator will definitely be able to create another top expert. During his conversation with the 7-star sword spirit, Xing Hui had specifically asked about this supreme treasure, the originator. The originator was, in fact, a kind of chaos great Tao that existed in the unseen. This kind of existence could allow a cultivator to form a connection with the 12 divine beast great Taos that the Chaos Lord had created, thereby allowing a cultivator to obtain all kinds of mysteries similar to those of a Chaos Realm expert. In other words, when a cultivator refined the originator, he would be equivalent to half a Chaos Realm expert. However, he would only have the foundation of a Chaos Realm expert but not the realm and power of a Chaos Realm expert. He would need to gradually improve himself through gradual cultivation until he stepped onto the path of a Chaos Realm expert. A Grand Essence had at least a 20 to 30% chance of creating a Chaos Overlord. This was the reason why when a Grand Essence appeared, even existences who could create worlds with a single thought would do everything in their power to fight for it. The originator had such weight. I wonder if I can bear and refine the originator with my current means. Xing Hui felt somewhat uneasy. He was afraid that he would have to refine the originator into the Scarlet Abyss sword when the time came. It's a pity that the Taoist rhymes in the creation sacred jade can't be used to purchase treasures in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Otherwise, I could buy the originator right now. Xing Hui felt regretful. At the same time, he subconsciously glanced at the price of the originator. When he saw the price of the originator clearly, his expression changed. 3,000 Taoist rhymes? It wasn't 1,000, but 3,000. Just as Xing Hui thought that the price was wrong, he took a closer look at the originator and understood something. The originator in front of him was one size larger than the one he had purchased previously. If he guessed correctly, the originator in front of him should be equivalent to 3 sets of Taoist rhymes. Needless to say, this result was a pleasant surprise. With the originator in hand, his mood improved considerably. He immediately sized up the various items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. However, what puzzled Xing Hui was that the prices of these items were shockingly low. He even saw a portion of Torch Dragon Essence blood. It was a Chaos Realm Torch Dragon Essence blood, but the price was less than 300 Taoist rhymes. Other than these, there was also a mutant white tiger that had been sealed. As one of the 6 divinities, the white tiger still had hopes of reaching the Chaos Realm if it had the opportunity. This was also the reason why it was called one of the 6 divinities and not a pure sacred beast. However, this mutant primal chaos white tiger was sold for only 600 Taoist rhymes, which was comparable to a baby divine beast. Xing Hui was speechless. He had scanned through the 30 items in the Primal Chaos Temple. More than half of them were things he had never heard of or seen before. However, other than the originator, the Primal Chaos White Tiger, and the Torch Dragon Essence Blood, he also found an extremely mysterious treasure. The Wood Spirit Empress. This was one of the few legendary creatures recorded in the Heaven Vault ancient records. Wood spirits were creatures that had almost no combat power. They were purely energy creatures. As long as they had enough energy, they could reproduce endlessly. They also had the miraculous ability to grow plants. Under the careful care and entanglement of a wood spirit, any plant or natural treasure could greatly shorten its growth time and increase its effectiveness. Therefore, any wood spirit was the most perfect gardener in the world. Usually, powerful beings who could reach the realm with a thought would find a way to get their hands on some and raise them in their personal medicine fields. As for the Wood Spirit Empress, she was the one who nurtured and shaped the life of the wood spirits. As long as the Wood Spirit Empress had enough energy, she could create a huge wood spirit race in an extremely short period of time. Xing Hui had a dragonization fruit tree that he had obtained from a powerful being who could reach the realm with a thought. Although it was currently planted in his personal space, it was still half dead. It was still a long way from nurturing dragonization fruits. If he could obtain enough wood spirits to grow the dragonization fruit tree, he would definitely be able to obtain more dragonization fruits. By then, not only would his physique be greatly strengthened, but his life essence would also have a chance of leaping to the level of a divine beast. 1,400 Taoist rhymes. That's really expensive. Xing Hui glanced at the price of the Wood Spirit Empress and could not help but shake his head helplessly. As for the remaining items in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, although he knew very well that every one of them was definitely top-notch, he could not identify them. Even if he wanted to buy them and sell them, he could not do so. In particular, there were some items that only God knew what dangers they contained. If he bought some terrifying items that contained curses, with the power of the Chaos Treasure, he was afraid that the entire divine wilderness would be wiped out. 3,000 Taoist Originator and 1,400 with Spirit Empress. A total of 4,400 Taoist rhymes. Xing Hui calculated in his mind and could not help but be secretly shocked. However, when he thought about how it would not be long before he went to eternity and would definitely return with a full load, he was no longer in a hurry and immediately left the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. How is it? Sensing the change in the divine light in Xing Hui's eyes, the Firmament Master could not wait to ask. Xing Hui nodded. However, the price is very high. Let's talk about it after we return from eternity. There really is one. The Firmament Master's heart trembled violently. Taoist Originator. A Taoist Originator. However, when he thought about the unbelievably high price of the Taoist Originator, he suddenly felt a pang of heartache. If he had known that there was still a chance to buy the Taoist Originator, he would have done everything he could to accumulate enough Taoist rhymes. That way, he would not be in a situation like today where the Taoist Originator was right in front of him, but he had the risk of missing out on such a supreme treasure. What are you talking about? The shadow-bearing sword's owner asked curiously. Nothing. The Firmament Master shook his head. The fewer people who knew about the Taoist Originator, the better. Alright, let's not delay any further. I plan to go to eternity now. Xing Hui said. There's no need for that. At this moment, the suffering true god seemed to have received some news. He smiled and said, according to the spy that our Black Flame sect planted in eternity, the Tai Yi Emperor of Eternity seems to have found out about the appearance of the Honorable Sword Xing Hui. He has joined forces with the Chaos Holy Man to lead Eternity, Tian Dao, Divine Path Sect, and Illuminating Era Sect. There are a total of 18 Divine State Giants. They are now coming to our Firmament Master. They want to catch us all in one fell swoop while we're still here. If they use the Voidwalkers to pave the way, I'm afraid it won't take long for them to appear outside our mountain gate. Oh. They're coming to kill us. How dare they? The Firmament Master said angrily. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying aura that was far more powerful than the divine state erupted from the periphery of the Firmament Master. The blazing power contained in the aura was like a scorching sun that illuminated the heavens. It was aggressive, overbearing, and arrogant. Chapter 753. It's Emperor Tai Yi. He's here so soon. Apart from Emperor Tai Yi, I also sense many other auras. Every aura is at the divine realm. It seems like the eternal realm and the heavenly Tao have temporarily joined forces. Just like how the two worlds joined forces to attack our divine wilderness world back then, they want to take advantage of the fact that we are all here to wipe us out. The faces of Firmament Master, esteemed Zhu Zhao, and Sword Master Qingying changed slightly. It's good that they're here. In fact, they're just in time. Xing Hui stepped forward, his eyes cold. Even if they didn't come, I would have gone to eternity to find them. Now that they're here, I don't have to waste my time. Sword Master Xing Hui, you're in charge of dealing with Emperor Tai Yi and Eternity's men. Leave the others to us. Esteemed Zhu Zhao said in a deep voice. The shadow-bearing Sword Master and the others nodded in agreement. Sword Master Bai Heng smiled faintly. I haven't fought with a top expert since I started my closed-door cultivation. I'd like to know how powerful my newly comprehended swordsmanship is and whether it can break through the defense of Tao Master Hun Dan in his normal state. Qing Su glanced past them one by one. He understood that if he transformed into the Kuan Peng at the fourth layer of the Saint Realm, he would definitely be able to unleash a massacre. He would be able to crush the enemies of Tai and the heavenly Daos like crushing dry weeds. However, if he did that, the Reverend Zhu Zhao, the shadow-bearing sword master, the Bai Heng sword master, and so on would basically have nothing to do with him. Moreover, they were able to cultivate to the divine realm, especially in a place like the divine wilderness where vitality was damaged. Which one of them did not have their own pride? How could they just watch as Qing Su fought at the front lines while they reaped the fruits of his labor from the back? Therefore, even if they knew that Xing Hui could still resolve Firmament World's crisis without them, they were still unwilling to stay out of it. Good. Then, I'll deal with Emperor Tai Yi and Eternity's men. I'll leave the rest to you. Xing Hui nodded heavily. Xing Hui, if it's possible, why don't you let us deal with the Glorious Era sect that came with the Eternal Tao? At this moment, Venerable Firmament said, Elder Brilliant Dragon Emperor and Elder Ing Tianqing of the Illuminating Era sect have contacted us, saying that they are unwilling to be enemies with us. However, they have no choice but to submit temporarily due to the overwhelming power of the Eternals. They also claim that if the Illuminating Era sect is really forced to enter the battlefield, they will definitely respond negatively. They asked us to give them a way out. Oh. Qing Su thought about the Brilliance Dragon Emperor and Ing Tianqing he had met before and nodded slightly. The two of them were probably people who knew how to adapt to circumstances. They're just fence-sitters. Seeing that the four sects of Firmament World are weak, they want to side with us. Now that there's a vacuum-shattering expert in the Eternals, they want to cut ties with us. When the time comes, we'll see. If the Illuminating Era sect really knows what's good for them and is just putting on a show, we'll give them face and cooperate. If their so-called promise is just empty words, then don't be polite. We'll kill them directly and let them know the consequences of being overcautious. Venerable Zhu Zhao snorted softly. Venerable Firmament thought for a moment and nodded. Leave the Illuminating Era sect to me. Even if they're really trying to numb our will and give us a fatal blow at the critical moment, I'll be able to withstand it as long as I'm careful. Good. Qing Su could vaguely hear the cries of the experts of the Eternal Realm outside, so he could not be bothered to waste time on such a trivial matter. He immediately leapt to his feet. Let's go out and meet them. Let's hope the Supreme Emperor's veneer-shattering expert isn't too weak. With Xing Hui taking the lead, Zhu Zhao, Firmament, and Shadow Bearing followed closely behind. As they had learnt the reason behind Qing Su's confidence in being able to transform into the 16th class divine beast Kuan Peng, even though he would not be of much use in a direct battle, the Venerable Zhangzhen, Venerable Yuanri, and the others still followed him. Naturally, they were no match for the saint experts. However, if they entered the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth state and had other saint experts to hold them back, they could still cause considerable damage to the saint experts. Whoosh! As Xing Hui and the others left Firmament World, the first to appear in front of them were the eternal experts. Emperor Crimson Afterglow and Emperor Brilliant Sun, who had communicated with Xing Hui before, were among them. In addition to Emperor Crimson Afterglow and Emperor Brilliant Sun, there were 11 other saints from the eternal experts, including those from the Illuminating World sect. 10 of these 11 people surrounded Emperor Tai Yi like stars surrounding the moon. They were filled with an overbearing aura. How could they be as modest and low-key as Xing Hui when he entered the Eternal Realm? And with the eternal experts were the Heavenly Way and the Divine Path sect. The Heavenly Way could be said to have turned out in full force. With Chaos Holy Man as the leader and Anisrava Holy Man as the support, the remaining 5 saint experts were all gathered. Although they were slightly separated from the eternal experts, showing that they belonged to 2 different groups, they still had an imposing aura. If they were to fight against some first-rate sects, just this lineup alone would be enough to defeat that first-rate sect without a fight. However, in addition to the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way, what surprised Xing Hui, Firmament World, and the others was that even the Divine Wilderness had arrived. However, compared to the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way who had turned out in full force, only 3 people from the Divine Wilderness had come. One of them was Supreme God Ancient Wilderness, whose aura was not any weaker than that of Emperor Tai Yi. The other 2 were Supreme God Sky Splitter, who barely possessed the battle strength of a supreme expert and had been forced into a space interlayer by Xing Hui, and Supreme God Vast Sea, who was in charge of receiving Xing Hui. When he saw Xing Hui again, Supreme God Sky Splitter's eyes clearly carried a trace of coldness. However, he seemed to have thought of something and quickly withdrew this trace of coldness. He glanced at the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way who had come to bully them and could not help but wear a playful smile on his face. He seemed to be waiting for the scene where Tsing Hui and the others were forced into a corner by the eternal experts and the heavenly way to seek help from them. Oh, you finally stopped being a coward this time. Do you know that the heavenly way and the eternal experts have joined forces and your protective formation is useless in front of the leakless holy man? Or do you think that you have the power to turn the situation around and fight against us now that Tsing Hui, whom you have high hopes for, has returned? Emperor Tai Yi looked at the people from the four-sect alliance who had come out from the sky and stepped forward with an indifferent expression. At the same time, Supreme God Ancient Wilderness also stepped forward with a hearty laugh. Sword Master Tsing Hui. I've heard of your name many times over the years. It's incredible that you have such achievements at such a young age. You tore apart the chaotic realm of the Chaos Holy Man in a head-on battle. However, you should understand that the power you obtain through the transformation technique is ultimately incomparable to the power of a void-shattering expert. As long as we delay as much as possible and wait for the duration of your transformation technique to pass, you will still be at our mercy in front of void-shattering experts like us. Therefore, you have to think carefully about the conditions I proposed earlier. Hand over the World Core and announce that your four-sect alliance will be part of the Divine Wilderness. Seeing that we are all local cultivators of the Divine Wilderness world, we can lend you a hand. The duration of the transformation technique is limited. Delay. That's right, but... Tsing Hui stepped forward and directly stepped into the void. He was tit-for-tat with Emperor Tai Yi and Supreme God Ancient Wilderness. Once I transform into the divine beast Kunpeng, killing you will only take a few breaths. How can you delay the duration of the transformation technique? A few breaths. What shameless boasting. Not to mention that you're just a Kunpeng, and you don't have the talent of the Kunpeng. Even if you're a real Kunpeng, if we try our best to defend ourselves, you won't be able to kill us in a few breaths. Since you're so conceited, I'll show you the difference between a vacuum-shattering realm cultivator and a real vacuum-shattering realm cultivator. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Emperor Tai Yi immediately shouted. He didn't want to waste any more time with Tsing Hui. He directly soared into the sky, and behind him, a huge golden crow shadow appeared. No. This was no longer an illusion. This was an existence that was close to reality. As long as he took one more step forward, he would be able to use his own body as the foundation to turn the false into the real and transform into the real divine beast Golden Crow. When the Golden Crow appeared, the land was dyed red. Endless light and heat swept out the moment the Golden Crow appeared. It was several times more powerful than the sword of sunlight that Qing Su had used before. Golden Crow. Tsing Hui stepped forward. Before he stepped into the center of the blazing heat of the Golden Crow, he had already activated the transformation spell and the divine spell. At the same time as he activated the transformation technique and the divine technique, he channeled the chaotic technique as well, directly transferring the amplification effect of the 5th level chaotic technique to himself. Immediately, his divine technique that was only at the 8th level directly rushed to the 10th level, breaking through the critical point of mutation. As a result, when Qing Su swelled up and revealed his Kunpeng true form at the 4th layer of the Saint Realm, he could clearly sense that the burden on him was much smaller than when he ripped open the spatial formation and transformed into the Kunpeng. Ha! The Chaos Holy Man, who had followed the Tai Yi Emperor here silently, immediately felt that something was wrong when he saw the divine beast Kunpeng that Tsing Hui had transformed into. Why is this divine beast Kunpeng so much bigger than the one that tore open my primordial realm? The last time Tsing Hui transformed into the divine beast Kunpeng, it was about 260 meters tall and its wingspan was not more than 500 meters. However, this time, the divine beast Kunpeng he transformed into was more than 400 meters tall. If it spread its wings, it would be close to 1,000 meters long. When he sensed the shuddering pressure from the Kunpeng that Qing Su had transformed into, which even came from the origin of life, the Chaos Holy Man seemed to have thought of something. His face immediately changed drastically, and he could not help but exclaim, "The divine true body! Divine true body! This is the divine true body of the 4th level divine realm." Oh no, Tsing Hui's transformation spell has increased again. He has transformed into the divine beast Kunpeng of the 4th level divine realm. Chapter 754. 4th tier divine beast Kunpeng. Chaos Holy Man's exclamation not only shocked those from the way of heaven and eternity, but even divine venerable ancient barons, who was an outsider, turned pale. In reality, there was no need for Chaos Holy Man's warning. Even he, who was not targeted by Qing Su, could sense the might of Qing Su's Kunpeng transformation, let alone Emperor Tai, who bore the brunt of it. Damn it, 4th tier divine realm. The Tai Emperor roared and retreated without hesitation. At the same time, the aura of the divine art appeared on his body, causing his speed to soar to the extreme. The divine realm was different from the saint realm. In the saint realm, there was almost no gap other than the divine art stage. Usually, 3 to 5 cultivators of a lower realm could kill a cultivator of a higher realm. However, this situation was gradually overturned when one reached the divine realm. The difference between the Grand Domain realm, Void Interpretation realm, and Shattering Vacuum realm was not that obvious, but once he reached the divine True Body realm, the difference was basically like heaven and earth. If Qing Su had only transformed into the Kunpeng at the 3rd layer of the divine True Body realm, the Tai Emperor was confident that he could keep him busy for a while, but at the 4th layer, run. Other than running, he didn't have any other thoughts. You want to run? The Kunpeng is a divine beast best at speed. Do you think you can escape in front of the Kunpeng? The Kunpeng that Xing Hui had turned into flapped its wings. It was like a dark cloud that covered the sky and swept toward the fleeing Tai Emperor. Although he didn't have many of the divine powers and talents of the Kunpeng, due to the transformation of the creation divine jade, his understanding of the rules of heaven and earth had reached a level that was not inferior to that of the divine beast Kunpeng. Although this understanding was similar to written knowledge and he hadn't had time to practice it to increase his experience, it was more than enough to control the Kunpeng. As he flapped his wings, the layers of space were like thin sheets of paper, allowing him to pass through them easily. Before the Tai Emperor could even retreat 300 kilometers, Qing Su had already blocked his path with ease. This was because Xing Hui didn't want more people to know what he was going to do next. Otherwise, the Tai Emperor could only retreat 100 kilometers in front of him. After catching up to the Tai Emperor, Xing Hui didn't give the Emperor any chance to escape. He used the freezing art derived from the 75th level Son of Chaos's characteristics. In the next moment, the Tai Emperor, who was retreating, felt his mind went blank. The divine art aura and the Son of Chaos completely dissipated in his senses. Even his divine arts aura and recovery arts passive buff was completely disappeared. He could only helplessly watch as Xing Hui's Kunpeng, the divine beast Kunpeng, reached his divine beast Kunpeng, grabbed him. What's going on? What's going on? The Tai Emperor was both shocked and terrified. Using his void-shattering realm's understanding of space law, he struggled to break free from Xing Hui's divine beast Kunpeng. However, Xing Hui's Kunpeng only exerted a little force, and the space within 1,000 meters around the Tai Emperor was completely disrupted. As this was the first time he had used space power like this, he had used too much power and accidentally created a black hole with a diameter of several hundred meters. There were even terrifying space currents that swept out from it for cultivators below the void-shattering realm. Crack! The sound of bones shattering rang throughout the Tai Emperor's body. Even though the Tai Emperor had become a divine being, he still couldn't help but cry out in pain when he suddenly encountered such pain. In addition, the divine light in Xing Hui's eyes condensed. The blazing sword essence carried a heat wave that could burn one's divine soul into the Tai Emperor's mind while he was in pain. The torrent of destruction suddenly burst out and burned the Tai Emperor's mind into a sea of fire, causing him to pass out. I thought you could hold on for 1 or 2 breaths. I didn't expect you to disappoint me. Qing Su stowed the Tai Emperor away in his personal space. Even though it would be very difficult for a sainthood powerhouse to get anything out of him if they wanted to interrogate him, there was still some hope at least. After capturing the Tai Emperor alive, Xing Hui didn't waste any time. He turned around and turned into a streak of light again. Along with the space ripples, he reappeared 200 kilometers away. The Taoist venerate of primal chaos and the people of the heavenly ways quickly retreated as well. Even the people of the supreme divinity primordial wilderness chose to retreat without any hesitation after witnessing Qing Su transform into the Kunpeng, leaving the sky. Unfortunately, they had considered everything, but they had never expected Qing Su to capture the great supreme emperor alive so quickly. As a result, they were rather reluctant to use their teleportation techniques, so they flew away quickly. Xing Hui swept his gaze and quickly locked onto the other eternal emperors. He then clenched his hand and the spatial force in all directions was completely disrupted. How could he be so fast? How could he be so fast? Teleportation technique. Only by teleporting to the spatial mezzanine can we have a chance of saving our lives. Damn it, how could the Son of Chaos have such a terrifying characteristic? The eternal divine being experts screamed in horror and didn't hesitate to use the teleportation technique. They were no longer as arrogant as they were when they first arrived. So what if you escape to the spatial mezzanine? Unless you never return to the divine wilderness world, as long as I, Xing Hui, am in the divine wilderness world, there will be no peace in the eternal realm. Qing Su said. Afterwards, a brilliant streak of light shot out from his spiritual world. It seemed to turn into a resplendent sun, enveloping all the living beings within several dozen kilometers of him in a single moment. The blazing sun formed by the sword light in his spiritual world carried a blazing heat that could burn the heavens and boil the sea, causing all the divine being experts in the area to scream in pain. Even the activation of the teleportation technique was delayed slightly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Kunpeng avatar attacked and captured all the divine beings who had been severely injured by his sword intent. 10 divine beings from the Eternal Realm and the Illuminating World sect, as well as 7 divine beings from the Heavenly Path and the Divine Path sect, 9 of them were captured by Xing Hui and sent into his personal space. However, the Qing Su's attack of sword intent had a large area of effect after all. It was not like the Heavenly Lord of Heartless who only targeted a single person. The remaining 8 saints actually grasped the opportunity and activated the teleportation technique immediately, either because they possessed treasures that could defend against mental attacks, or because their minds were powerful, or because they just happened to be outside the range of Qing Su's attack. Do you think you can escape? Xing Hui growled, his gaze locked onto the 2 giants of the Heavenly Path, the Anisrava Holy Man and the Chaos Holy Man. With a thought, the characteristics of the Son of Chaos were activated. The stagnation technique, dimensional lock, and dimensional lock were used in this order, instantly targeting the Chaos Holy Man and the Anisrava Holy Man. When the Chaos Holy Man and the Anisrava Holy Man disappeared from everyone's sight with the help of the teleportation technique, Xing Hui's Kunpeng avatar also disappeared without a trace, evidently in pursuit. Just a second ago, the Eternal and Heavenly Tao Alliance had been so aggressive, ready to kill their way into the Heaven Vault Empire's 4 sects and completely annihilate them. However, in less than 10 breaths of time, they had been completely defeated. Many saints had been killed, captured, and fled. In the blink of an eye, they had scattered like birds. The people of the divine wilderness, who wanted to take advantage of the situation and seize the world core from Heaven Vault Empire, were dumbfounded. It was only after Xing Hui's pursuit of the Anisrava Holy Man and the Chaos Holy Man disappeared without a trace that Supreme God Ancient Wilderness suddenly came to his senses. He hurriedly forced a smile and said to the Juru Holy Man and the Celestial Sect Master, since the Celestial Sect is unwilling to let the divine wilderness keep the heart of the world, then forget it. The divine wilderness has always been reasonable and will never force others to do something against their will. Please rest assured, we still have matters to attend to in the divine wilderness, so it's not good to disturb you any further. Please send our regards to the Sword Venerable Xing Hui on behalf of the divine wilderness. We'll take our leave first. With that, he did not even dare to wait for the Juru Holy Man and the Celestial Sect Master's reply and fled as fast as he could. At this time, he only wanted to return to the divine wilderness. Only by returning to the divine wilderness and relying on the protection of the divine wilderness mountain protecting formation could he feel a little bit of security. They're running pretty fast. The celestial sect master could not help but snort coldly as he watched Supreme God Ancient Wilderness and the others retreat. Xing Hui was not here, and even if they attacked, they could not stop Supreme God Ancient Wilderness and the others, so they did not intercept them immediately. Don't worry, when Sword Venerable Xing Hui returns, we'll make them pay back the humiliation and harm they've brought to the celestial sect master several times over. Zhuru Holy Man also hated the divine wilderness for taking advantage of the situation back then. It's really unexpected. We thought there would be a big battle later, and Sword Venerable Xing Hui would be in charge of dealing with the top divine beings while we deal with the ordinary divine beings. Who would have thought? Sword Venerable Xing Hui would take care of everything by himself, so much so that we, the so-called sword masters, sages, and true gods, could only watch from the sidelines. We didn't even have a chance to show our skills. Sword Master Qingying smiled bitterly. Even though he had already submitted to Xing Hui, the huge gap between them still made him feel lonely. Sword Master Wushuan, who was behind him, patted his shoulder and said, "Qingying, there's no need to blame yourself. Some monsters who are called geniuses are destined not to be looked at with the eyes of ordinary people." The master of the shadow-bearing sword was not that weak. He smiled bitterly and glanced at the master of the Baiheng sword. The master of the Baiheng sword's talent can already be described as astounding. He's only cultivated for a few hundred years, yet he already possesses the battle prowess of a true sovereign. His talent is so great that it's rarely seen in the world. Even the Reverend Zhu Zhao acknowledged his talent recently. However, while the master of the Baiheng sword's talent is also astounding, it's still within the normal range after all. On the other hand, the Green Ruins Sword Venerable's cultivation speed has basically reached an illogical level. Zhuru Holy Man seemed to have heard the Sword Master Qingying sigh and immediately laughed heartily. If it is reasonable, then can he still be called a peerless genius? Sword Master Qingying was slightly taken aback when he heard this, but he could only nod helplessly. Well, it was reasonable, and he had no way to refute it. Just as the divine sage experts were chatting, the crack in the void was torn open again. A huge chasm with a diameter of several thousand meters stretched across the void, and Xing Hui, who had transformed into the Kunpeng, appeared again. Chapter 755. Honorable Sword Xing Hui. Honorable Sword Xing Hui is back. It seems that Honorable Sword Xing Hui has already wiped out the two higher-ups of the Way of Heaven. Ha! Honorable Sword Xing Hui is still able to make mistakes. It seems that the next time Honorable Sword Xing Hui transforms into the divine beast Kunpeng, it will be the day when Honorable Sword Xing Hui is completely destroyed. Firmament Master, Zhongjin Master, Yuanri Master, and Sword Master Master Comprehending Sword Master were all overjoyed. Looking at Xing Hui descending from the void, their eyes were full of emotions. After Xing Hui descended, he gradually withdrew his transformation skill. He had spent a lot of time chasing after Chaos Holy Man and Flawless Holy Man in the Void Mezzanine. Although his physical body had not collapsed yet, he could not hold on for long. After all, the burden on his body from entering the Void Mezzanine and returning safely from it was incomparable to fighting in the world. Honorable Sword Xing Hui, how is it? Did anyone escape from the Way of Heaven? Zhu Zhao Master asked. Chaos Holy Man escaped. Xing Hui said regretfully, no one would have thought that Chaos Holy Man had a lichen armor. With this lichen armor, when he found himself in the Void Mezzanine, he chose to fly directly into the depths of the Void Mezzanine and drilled into the areas where the space storms were denser. In an instant, he was already far away. I was worried that he might get lost in the Void Mezzanine, so I could not chase after him recklessly. Zhu Zhao Master, Firmament Master, and Shadow-Bearing Sword Master heard this and nodded understandingly, although they were a little regretful that they did not kill Chaos Holy Man. The lichen armor had an excellent defensive effect against the space storms, so even Chaos Holy Man, who was only at the Void Realm, dared to fly freely in the Void Mezzanine and the space storms. Xing Hui, who had transformed into a Kunpeng at the 4th level of the Divine Realm, might be safe if he chased after Chaos Holy Man. However, under the space storms, he would soon be blown away. Once he was lost in the void mezzanine, it would take him at least 8 to 10 years to come back. If it were Venerable Master Zhu Xiao and the others, they might not care about 8 to 10 years, but Qing Su, he only had 12 years left. In these 12 years, he had to cultivate to the level of one thought world and resolve the crisis that the Earth civilization was facing. He could not afford to waste these 8 to 10 years. Chaos Holy Man may have the Lycan armor, but it can only ensure that he does not die in the void mezzanine. If he wants to return to our divine wilderness world, he will need at least 10 years. During this period of time, I have already touched the threshold of vacuum-shattering realm while fighting with the eternal Tai Emperor. If I cultivate in seclusion for a year or so, I will definitely be able to reach the vacuum-shattering realm. When I reach the vacuum-shattering realm, even if Chaos Holy Man returns, he will still die. Exalted Zhu Xiao said confidently. In the end, he said after a moment of contemplation, moreover, I think it's very likely that the chaotic Tao sovereign won't return after learning that an expert like you, Qing Su, is present. After all, even if he does return, it won't make any difference to the situation in the divine wilderness. Master Firmament nodded. The Taoist sovereign of primordial chaos has always been a scheming and astute person. He won't return to our divine wilderness so easily before he comes up with a plan to deal with Qing Su. So, that is to say, after the interval of Tsing Hui's next transformation technique is over, we can directly kill our way into the way of heaven? Master Tsangzhen's eyes lit up. In these years, Firmament Master had been suppressed by the way of heaven so much that he could hardly breathe. More than 10 years ago, they almost did not dare to imagine that Firmament Master could one day turn defeat into victory and disintegrate the way of heaven. But now, the opportunity to kill their way into the way of heaven was right in front of them. They almost could not wait to rule the way of heaven as the winner. We do need to wait for a while. Tsing Hui did not dare to underestimate the level 15 formation of the way of heaven. But after a moment, he thought of something. However, if you can make him speak, the way of heaven formation may not be of any use. When the time comes, we can even move our temporary residence to the way of heaven and enjoy the benefits of the level 15 formation of the way of heaven. As he spoke, a figure was thrown out from Tsing Hui's hand. It was the strongest formation master in the way of heaven, the leakless holy man who could arrange a level 13 formation. Leakless holy man. It's him. Sword Master Tsing Hui, you actually captured him alive? That's great. Ha ha ha, the mountain guarding formation of the way of heaven is maintained by leakless holy man, so he knows the operation of the way of heaven formation like the back of his hand. If we can make leakless holy man speak, the way of heaven will be as easy as walking on flat ground for us. When everyone saw leakless holy man thrown out by Tsing Hui, they could not help but be pleasantly surprised. But Li Hen holy man has not relented so far. If we want to make leakless surrender, I'm afraid it will not be an easy thing. Master Zhu Xiao frowned and said. Hearing what Venerable Zhu Xiao said, the crowd became silent. Experts of the divine realm were different from cultivators below the divine realm. It was not easy to rely on physical torture to make an expert of the divine realm collapse. Let me give it a try. Master Yuanri said, in fact, when I was in the Almighty Realm, I had some friendship with leakless holy man, and we even fought side by side. But later, we served different masters, so our friendship gradually faded and turned into hostility. I'll see if I can break his spiritual defense from the side and force out what we want. Then I'll have to trouble you, Master Yuanri. Master Tianqiong said. I have captured many divine realm giants and interrogated them well. I don't believe that these divine realm experts are stubborn old men who would rather die than submit. As long as they are willing to contribute their Taoist rhymes and divine weapons, I don't even need them to surrender to us. As long as they don't become enemies with us, I can give them a way out. As Tsing Hui spoke, he once again threw out a large number of eternal divine realm experts he had captured alive. Let them go. Don't let them join our four-sect alliance. Profound Comprehension Sword Master was a little surprised. However, Master Tianqiong seemed to understand the deeper meaning of Tsing Hui's actions. He said with a smile, as long as our four-sect alliance can continue to grow stronger, and even develop into the #1 sect in the divine wilderness, why would these divine realm experts who have lost their sects and have nowhere to go worry about not taking the initiative to surrender to us in exchange for a broader future? Indeed, forcing others is much better than making them willingly join our four-sect alliance. After all, how many of the divine realm experts in the eternal realm really came from the world behind the eternal realm? Aren't most of them born and cultivated in our divine wilderness? The divine wilderness is their foundation, and they only chose to join the eternal realm for their own future. Xing Hui nodded. Well, leave those divine realm experts to us. Anyway, they have lost many of their Taoist treasures and divine weapons. Even if they want to become enemies with us in the future, they may not be our match. Master Yuanri took over this matter. At this moment, Wu Likla's holy man seemed to wake up from his coma and immediately quivered. However, when he sensed that he was surrounded by peak experts like the Zhenjiao monk, the shadow-bearing sword master, the Baiheng sword master, the firmament master, and the green ruins sword master, his face immediately paled. He did not even have the courage to fight back. Especially when he looked at Xing Hui, there was a trace of fear in his eyes. Just now, that was the legendary dimensional lock. Xing Hui glanced at Wu Likla's holy man with some surprise. He did not expect Wu Likla's holy man to know the characteristics of a 60th level son of chaos. However, he still nodded. Yes, it is the dimensional lock. It's actually the dimensional lock. Wu Likla's holy man's face showed a trace of bitterness. I didn't expect you to have developed the son of chaos to such an extent. We didn't lose unjustly. Wu Likla's holy man, at this moment, Master Yuanri stepped forward. Now that things have come to this, you should be able to understand the situation. Do you think that in the face of Sword Master Xing Hui, who can transform into a 4th-level divine stage Kunpeng, the way of heaven still has a chance to turn the tables? Wu Likla's holy man was silent for a moment, and finally shook his head. Ha, Wu Likla's holy man, you don't have to belittle yourself. If I'm not wrong, your way of heaven should still have the ability to turn the tables. Master Tianqiong said with a smile that was not a smile. Wu Likla's holy man was slightly taken aback, and a ray of light flashed across his eyes. Evidently, he already knew what Master Tianqiong was talking about. Although the eternal and divine wilderness do not believe in the so-called reinforcements of your way of heaven, we have captured the Li Hen holy man alive, but he has not surrendered during this period of time. From this point, we can infer that he must have the confidence that your way of heaven can turn the tables. That kind of confidence is obviously impossible for the Chaos Holy Man. Then, there is only one result: the reinforcements of the great heaven world behind the way of heaven are real. Master Tianqiong said the last sentence with certainty. Wu Likla's holy man glanced at Master Tianqiong, took a deep breath, and finally sighed. You're right, that is indeed the case, but... As he spoke, Wu Likla's holy man glanced at Xing Hui. It's useless. Oh. I'd like to hear the details. You have defeated the Eternal, sooner or later you will hear the news from the Eternal. The great heaven world behind the way of heaven, as a result of the war against the divine wilderness world 10,000 years ago, was greatly damaged, and has already been broken through by the joint forces of several hostile worlds. Although there was a team that contacted us a few decades ago, but according to the information we have and the clues we have obtained, this team did not come to our aid on their own initiative, but to avoid the pursuit of the enemy, they thought of the way of heaven in the divine wilderness world, and fled to our divine wilderness world. Although this team has many experts, but the leader is only in the unhindered realm, and does not possess the supreme ability to create a world with a thought. Furthermore, they need at least 40 years to reach this world. When the leakless Tao sovereign reached there, he shook his head with a bitter smile, and with the cultivation speed of a monstrous figure like the Green Ruins Sword Master, will reigning realm cultivators still be his opponent in 40 years' time? Chapter 756. 40 years, freely conquering realm. Wu Likla's holy man's words made Master Tianqiong, Master Zhu Zhao, and the shadow-bearing sword master all laugh. It should be said that Xing Hui had only cultivated for 19 years, and in these 19 years, he had risen from a mere mortal to a divine true body level expert with the help of the transformation technique. Although his divine true body was inferior to other divine true body experts, no one dared to treat him as a third-level divine true body cultivator of the vacuum-shattering realm. In 19 years, he had already achieved such an achievement, and in another 40 years. Even if it was said that Xing Hui had broken through to one thought to create a world with a thought, they would not be surprised at all. The so-called common sense of ordinary people could not be used as a reference in front of Xing Hui at all. Anusrava, holy man, it's good that you can understand this point. Perhaps this is the basis of our cooperation. Even though you once led people to plot against me, but at that time, we were just serving different masters. There was no deep hatred between us that could not be resolved. Therefore, if you are willing to cooperate with us to take down the heavenly way, we can also pass the conditions that we set for the eternity to you. When we get the answers that we want to know, and you hand over the treasures and divine weapons on you, you can still leave alive and roam the world as a divine being. As Master Zhuzhao spoke, he generously glossed over the fact that Wu Likla's holy man had led other divine true body experts to besiege him. Wu Likla's holy man was slightly taken aback when he heard this, and then took a deep breath. If Sword mastered Xing Hui and you can guarantee my safety, I can tell you all the information I know about the heavenly Tao, and lead you into the heavenly Tao. The Heaven's Venerable Master glanced at the Reverend Zhuzhao. Seeing how the Reverend Zhuzhao was actually willing to overlook the fact that the Anusrava holy man had brought people to kill him, he calmed down. At the same time, he turned to the Anusrava holy man and invited, the Anusrava holy man should be able to tell that with the Green Ruins Sword Master around, there will be a day when our four sects surpass the Divine Wilderness and become the master of the Divine Wilderness. Since the Anusrava holy man is going to live in the Divine Wilderness in the future, he'll definitely be restricted by our four sections. Instead of that, why don't you join us? As long as Wu Likla's holy man is willing to sincerely join our four sects, I believe that the four sects will be very happy to bury the hatchet. Wu Likla's holy man was a little moved. The smarter a person was, the easier it was for him to discern the situation. Wu Likla's holy man had always played a role similar to a think tank in the heavenly Tao. He could naturally see the potential of Xing Hui's four-sect alliance. It could be said that, in the following period of time, unless there was a great change in the world, the Divine Wilderness would inevitably become the backyard of the four sections. As Sword mastered Xing Hui's strength gradually stabilized and strengthened, the heavenly Tao, eternity, and Divine Wilderness would eventually be devoured by the four sects one by one. At that time, the Divine Wilderness would usher in an unprecedented unification. At that time, unless Wu Likla's holy man no longer lived in the Divine Wilderness, or was willing to miss the rapid development period of the Divine Wilderness, it was only a matter of time before he joined the four sections. Moreover, joining the four sects now and joining the four sects would obviously be on a different level. When he thought up to there, the Anusrava Holy Venerable immediately turned to the Sky Venerable Master, Jinzhao Venerable Master, and Qing Su. Since the esteemed masters and the Green Ruins Sword Venerable think so highly of me, I, Anusrava, would be ignorant if I, Anusrava, declined. I, Anusrava, am willing to become a member of the four sects of the Heavens domain. From today onwards, I will contribute to the four-sect alliance. Good. Hearing Wu Likla's holy man's straightforward promise, Firmament Master said solemnly, and cautiously stepped forward. Welcome, Wu Likla's holy man. I believe you will be glad of your choice today. After that, he turned to Xing Hui and said, Sword Master Xing Hui, what do you think? Since Zhu Zhao Master and Firmament Master have spoken, I have no objection. Xing Hui said. After all, he had only been in the Heaven Wasteland world for a short time. In the entire Heaven Wasteland world, the only people he wanted to kill were Black Heaven Tao Master and Broken Sword. Now that he had dealt with Black Heaven Tao Master, there was only Broken Sword left. As for the others, perhaps there was a conflict of interest with him, but it could not be said to be a life and death grudge. Ha, that's great. With Wu Likla's holy man joining, our four-sect alliance will definitely be able to improve further. Firmament Master burst into laughter when he heard Tsing Hui's promise. Esteemed Lord, do you want to recruit these people? Seeing that Wu Likla's holy man had chosen to join the four-sect alliance, Master Yuan Ri immediately asked. Firmament Master then turned his gaze to Tsing Hui. Sword Master Tsing Hui, what do you think? If they are willing to join our four-sect alliance, our four-sect alliance can accept them. However, they must hand over all their Taoist rhymes and divine weapons. Treat it as a lesson for being our enemy. This is the bottom line that we cannot back down. Tsing Hui said. He was still waiting for the Tao-bearing treasures from the eternal and heavenly Tao to purchase the Wood Spirit Empress and the three originators from the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Of course. Since they've gone against us, then they naturally have to pay the price. I'll lead them to make arrangements right now. Moreover, I'll rely on the energy of the chaotic oath to guarantee that they won't be able to leave behind a single weapon or treasure. Venerable Yuan Ri nodded heavily. The primal chaos oath often required 50 Tao auras. It was naturally not cost-effective to use 50 Tao auras on ordinary people, but which saint did not have a net worth of thousands? In order to ensure that they handed over all their things, so what if it was a waste of 50 Tao auras? At least with the power of the primal chaos oath, once they hid any Tao auras or divine weapons, the power of the primal chaos oath would immediately activate and reduce their primal chaos level. At that time, it would be a small matter if their primal chaos level fell, but Master Yuan Ri, who had discovered that they had been deceived, would not give them a chance to quibble. After Master Yuan Ri took them away, the shadow-bearing sword master also asked, Master Zhu Zhao, Sword Master Tsing Hui, how should we deal with the matter in the divine wilderness? Master Zhu Zhao pondered for a moment, then turned his gaze to Tsing Hui and Firmament Master. Even Tsing Hui looked at Firmament Master questioningly. Firmament Master, the nominal leader of Firmament Master, clearly had the most right to speak on this matter. In fact, our divine wilderness world has been unable to develop for many years, and the Primal Chaos Temple is one of the biggest factors restricting us. Everyone here is a powerhouse of the divine realm, so you should know the difference between a world that has control over the Primal Chaos Temple and one that has not. Firmament Master said. Profound Comprehension Sword Master nodded in deep agreement. Our sword shadow has the relevant records. The Primal Chaos Temple is the foundation of a world. The effects of a Primal Chaos Temple that is controlled by a person and a Primal Chaos Temple that is not controlled by a person are completely different. A Primal Chaos Temple that is not controlled by a person can only rely on its foundation to operate, and the radiation of its power is limited to a world. However, when a Primal Chaos Temple is controlled by a person, the power of the Primal Chaos Temple will immediately radiate into the interlayers of space, and even into the endless void. In addition, the master of the Primal Chaos Temple can also influence the sale of items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion by controlling the items in the Primal Chaos Temple. At this point, Profound Comprehension Sword Master said angrily, according to the information we obtained from the Netherworld Sword Ancestor, our divine wilderness world's production of Tao aura is extremely rich, 10 times or even dozens of times that of an ordinary world. Otherwise, how could the divine wilderness world, which is located at the edge of the endless void, develop to a level that exceeds a powerful world like the Heaven Primal Great World? However, because the Primal Chaos Temple has no master, our divine wilderness world has an extremely high production of Tao aura, but we are exploited by the nearby worlds. We use extremely high prices to buy their ordinary items. Furthermore, they seem to be deliberately suppressing our world's cultivation progress. The innate Tao aura that is extremely important to domain realm cultivators rarely appears in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. As long as we have the master of the Primal Chaos Temple, our divine wilderness world can break this seal. Oh. Hearing Profound Comprehension Sword Master's words, Tsing Hui, who did not understand the concept of the master of the Primal Chaos Temple, could not help but ask, what kind of influence does the master of the Primal Chaos Temple have on a world? What is the significance of this influence on the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion? The birth of the master of the Primal Chaos Temple can establish a good system. Radiating power into the void interlayer and even the endless void is one point. Secondly, it can control the chaos of snatching primal chaos levels. Primal chaos levels can no longer be sold easily. Only when one party dies can they be inherited by the other party. Thirdly, it is the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Profound Comprehension Sword Master replied, the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion is the ability of the 30th rank Son of Chaos. However, if it is a newly born Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion without the Master of the Primal Chaos, the range of its power will not be too large. Its range is usually only around 10 worlds. In other words, the things we buy are actually sold by the people of these 10 worlds. As for the price, it is also set by them. If these 10 worlds can work together, they can monopolize the prices of our world even if they don't find our world's location. When Xing Hui heard this, he nodded thoughtfully. However, if the Master of the Primal Chaos is born, we can control the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion and break this blockade. We can increase the daily consumption of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion and expand the range of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion's power to more than 100 worlds. The combination of 10 worlds may be able to monopolize the goods and prices of our Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion in the Divine Wilderness world, but more than 100 worlds. Xing Hui immediately understood what Profound Comprehension Sword Master meant. In other words, even if we expand the power of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, it will increase the consumption of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. However, if we break through the blockade of these worlds, we can even use several Dao auras to buy divine beast blood essences and natural treasures of the divine realm? Yes. Not only will we be able to buy divine beast blood essences and natural treasures with several Dao auras, we can even buy a large portion of innate divine charm with several Dao auras. Profound Comprehension Sword Master nodded heavily. Monopoly. Just like how the Divine Wilderness world had monopolized the prices of goods in other continents, the prices of goods in the Divine Wilderness world were similarly monopolized by other worlds. At this moment, Xing Hui finally understood why the Primal Chaos Realm treasures he bought, even for the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, only cost 1,000 Dao auras. At the end of the day, it was because the low-level Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had monopolized the goods sold. However, the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion of the 60th level Son of Chaos had clearly broken through this monopoly. It was precisely because of this that he was able to buy these top-notch treasures time and time again. Chapter 757. Then, our next step is to think of a way to unify the Chaos Temple, elect a Master of the Chaos Temple, and break the seal of the surrounding worlds on our Divine Wilderness world? Xing Hui roughly understood everyone's plan. That's right, to elect a Master of the Chaos Temple, and to elect a Master of the Chaos Temple, we must obtain the approval of the many Sons of Chaos in the Divine Wilderness world. Then, the Divine Wilderness, which has a large number of Sons of Chaos, will have to be dealt with. Firmament Master nodded, and at the same time, there was a trace of excitement on his face. As far as I know, the production of Dao aura in our Divine Wilderness is several times higher than that of other worlds. Even though our Divine Wilderness has declined over the years, as long as we can continuously produce Dao aura, we can still purchase many sets of cultivation treasures from the Chaos Temple. In time, we can still advance to the Insightful Void Realm, Vacuum Shattering Realm, and even the Divine True Body Realm. Ruckus Holy Man, who was eager to show off, quickly added, the Nether Sword Ancestor's information is correct. The production of Dao aura in our Divine Wilderness world is indeed much higher than that of other worlds. At least, from what I know, the Heaven Primordial world's Dao aura production is less than that of the Heaven Primordial world every year, and the Heaven Primordial world is one of the most powerful worlds in our star domain. It has invaded many worlds before. As for the true Sun world behind eternity, its Dao aura production is slightly lower than that of the Heaven Primordial world, probably around 1600 to 1800, 1600 to 1800. Hearing Ruckus Holy Man say such an accurate number, not only was Xing Hui slightly stunned, but even Firmament Master, Shadow-Bearing Sword Master, Jinzhao Esteemed Master, and the others who had some understanding of the Divine Wilderness world's Dao aura production were shocked. So little. This number is much lower than I imagined. What is so special about our Divine Wilderness world that it can receive so many Dao auras? Several esteemed masters guessed. But Tsing Hui's heart skipped a beat. He had a vague feeling that the divine wilderness was able to produce so many Tao carriers because of the fortune divine jade. One had to know that before Dongxian brought the fortune divine jade to earth, it had always been in the divine wilderness. But the heaven primordial world behind the heavenly Tao, and even the true sun primordial world behind the eternal world, were all envious of the rich production of Tao aura in the divine wilderness. Thus, they tried every means to wander in the endless void, searching for the location of the divine wilderness. For this reason, countless forerunners fell in the void storm and got lost in the endless void. After spending tens of thousands of years searching, finally, 10,000 years ago, the heaven primordial world was the first to find the existence of the divine wilderness. And because the true sun primordial world behind the eternal world was being invaded by the heaven primordial world, it was very curious about the sudden retreat of the heaven primordial world. After tracing it back, it also discovered the location of the divine wilderness. The leakless holy man said. As the number 2 figure in the heavenly Tao, he obviously had a deeper understanding of the inside story than anyone else present. What an unexpected calamity! The shadow-bearing sword master, firmament master, Zhuzhao master, and the others looked at each other and sighed at the same time. If the heaven primordial world did not find our divine wilderness world in such a short period of time, and gave the divine wilderness more time to develop, with the divine wilderness world's unique production of Tao carriers, I'm afraid that after tens of thousands of years, the divine wilderness world would have developed into a world that far surpassed the heaven primordial world. At that time, even if the heaven primordial world found our divine wilderness world, they would inevitably be defeated. Profound comprehension sword master sighed. Leakless holy man, how strong were the divine wilderness world, heaven primordial world, and true sun primordial world at their peak 10,000 years ago. At this time, Tsing Hui, who wanted to go to the true sun primordial world behind the eternal sun primordial world, suddenly asked. Facing Tsing Hui's inquiry, the leakless holy man did not dare to be negligent in the slightest, and hurriedly said, I'm afraid only the netherworld sword ancestor and divine venerable ancient desolation, who had survived from ancient times, know how strong the divine wilderness world was. As for the heaven primordial world, as far as I know, there were a total of 9 supreme sects in the heaven primordial world, and each of those supreme sects had an ancestor-level figure who could suppress the heavens. 9. World creation with a thought. No. I remember that in the Great War 10,000 years ago, it was said that there was an invincible existence of the Chaos Realm. Could it be the Chaos Realm? Firmament Master suddenly said. It should be the Chaos Realm. The leakless holy man nodded. Over the years, we have intermittently excavated the cave dwelling of the world creation with a thought experts in the divine wilderness world, as well as the confirmed number of world creation with a thought experts. There are at least 30 of them. If the 9 great ancestors really only had the cultivation of world creation with a thought, they simply could not compete with the divine wilderness world. 9 Chaos Realm experts. Zhu Zhao Shengren took a deep breath. With the originator, he had a higher chance of stepping into the chaos realm than ordinary people, but when he heard that the heaven primordial world behind Tian Dao had 9 chaos giants in its heyday, he still felt incredulous. In particular, the divine wilderness world had fought against the heaven primordial world and the true sun primordial world until both sides suffered losses. Then, how glorious and prosperous was the divine wilderness world at that time? There has always been a rumor in the endless void, that only the chaos giants can protect a world, and a world without a chaos giant is equivalent to a lamb in the eyes of others, prey, and ultimately unable to escape the fate of being slaughtered. This is because, only by breaking through to the chaos realm and borrowing the chaotic yuan qi, a cultivator's world can live forever. As long as a chaos giant is not destroyed, its world will be immortal. And as long as the world exists, then the clan that they belong to will never perish. Leakless holy man said. Firmament master, shadow-bearing sword master, profound comprehension sword master, suffering true god, Baiheng sword master, and the others nodded in agreement. They had also heard of this rumor. Alright, it's too early to talk about this problem. We have 2 things to do now. One is to go to the heavenly Tao and completely exterminate the fish that escaped the net of the heavenly Tao. The other is to go to the divine wilderness and uproot the divine wilderness that is taking advantage of the situation. Then, we will unify the divine wilderness world's primal chaos realm and elect the master of the primal chaos shrine. Zhu Zhao sage said and put an end to this topic. Xing Hui nodded. When the cooldown of my transformation skill is over, I will inform everyone. Now, please prepare for war, the destruction of the heavenly way is just around the corner. Alright. When the time comes, we will wait for Sword Master Xing Hui to show his invincible power. Profound comprehension, Sword Master said with a smile. Then, everyone separated and went back to rest. Each of them represented a huge interest group, and in the face of such a major event, they naturally had to make proper arrangements. As for Xing Hui, when he returned to his courtyard, he could properly organize his cultivation over the years, and make arrangements for the next step after the divine wilderness world was stabilized. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. 10 days later, Venerable Yuanri brought Xing Hui to the bitter prison that was personally guarded and suppressed by Zhu Zhao sage. He said with a smile, "My lord, the saints of the eternal and heavenly way have all surrendered. After all, compared to their lives, the Tao-carrying items, divine weapons, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and even the chaotic realm are all worldly possessions. Under my coercion and persuasion during this period of time, they have all thought it through and are willing to hand over their Tao-carrying items, divine weapons, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and primal chaos techniques. These people are all personally brought here by you, so they will be at your disposal." Oh. Xing Hui originally did not plan to ask these people for primal chaos techniques, but he did not expect Venerable Yuanri to bring him such an unexpected surprise. "Thank you, Venerable Yuanri," Xing Hui said. "It's my honor to be able to help you, Sword Master Xing Hui. Let's see if any of the 4 sect alliances have taken a fancy to those divine weapons. If they do, sell them at a low price and exchange them for Tao-carrying items. As for the Tao-carrying items themselves, there's a total of 2,494, almost 2,500. If the Sword Venerable of Green Ruins really is willing to sell those weapons, it'll be for the best. With these weapons, our strength will definitely increase by a lot," said the Sword Venerable. "Nearly 2,500. Xing Hui's eyes lit up. These saints were really rich. He had already collected more than half of the 4,400 Tao-carrying items in such a short period of time. As long as he sold those divine weapons, even if they were sold at a low price, it would be more than enough to buy 3 portions of the Originator and the Wood Spirit Queen." "Thank you. Sword Master Xing Hui, you're welcome. If it weren't for Sword Master Xing Hui, how could our Sky Vault Empire be where it is today?" After Venerable Yuanri finished speaking, he seemed to think of something and said, "By the way, Emperor Tai Yi said that he wants to see you. He said that as long as you are willing to meet him, he is willing to accept our conditions." "Sword Master, what do you think? Tai Yi wants to see me. Then I'll meet him and see what he has to say." Xing Hui stepped into the hardship prison as he spoke. After walking for a while in the hardship prison, he saw Emperor Tai Yi, whose hands and feet were pierced by iron hooks. These iron hooks were made of demon refining iron, which had a strong interference and sealing effect on the circulation of genuine qi in a cultivator's body. In addition, Venerable Yuanri would definitely torture Emperor Tai Yi's mind when interrogating him, causing his mental state to be extremely low and unable to sense the Chaos Divine Palace. As a result, Emperor Tai Yi had to be imprisoned and tortured in the hardship prison despite his terrifying vacuum-shattering cultivation base. "Emperor Tai Yi, what do you want?" Sword Master Xing Hui. Emperor Tai Yi raised his head and looked at Xing Hui, a trace of deeply hidden unwillingness and hatred flashing in his eyes. However, he quickly hid this trace of unwillingness and hatred and said in a deep voice, "Sword Master Xing Hui, do you know that you are missing out on a great opportunity?" "Great opportunity?" Xing Hui looked at Emperor Tai Yi, who appeared fierce but was weak at heart, and said with a faint smile, "What great opportunity?" "I might as well tell you frankly, Sword Master Xing Hui, there is a formation in eternity that leads directly to the true Sun Great World behind eternity. This formation has been completely perfected, and we have transmitted the coordinates to our true Sun Great World. Once the supreme existences of our true Sun Great World reach a consensus, we will tear open the void, open the passage between the two worlds, and lay down the void teleportation formation to descend. At that time, the entire divine wilderness world will be in the hands of our true Sun Great World. Emperor Tai Yi said earnestly, Sword Master Tsing Hui, your talent is amazing. If you are willing to abandon the darkness and join eternity to lead the way for the experts of true Sun Great World, you will naturally be valued by the supreme experts of true Sun Great World. Even if they accept you as a disciple, it will not be an extravagant hope for you to grow to the boundary realm in the future. However, what you are doing now is gradually drifting away from this great opportunity. Believe me, it is not too late for you to let me go and join eternity. Otherwise, when that day comes, you will not have the chance to regret it even if you regret it. Chapter 758. Is that what you want to say? Tsing Hui looked at Emperor Tai Yi indifferently. Emperor Tai Yi's face darkened. Tsing Hui, do you still not see the situation clearly? Do you want to be stubborn to the end? It seems like you're done. Then, it's my turn. Now, I'll give you two choices. First, hand over your Dao-carrying item, divine weapon, valuable items in your personal space, including your chaos incantation, and I'll let you leave alive. As for the second choice, if you choose to resist to the end, I'll have no choice but to kill you in order to completely eliminate a vacuum-crushing threat like you. Tsing Hui's words infuriated Emperor Tai Yi. Tsing Hui, do you know that you're digging your own grave? 10 years. In at most 10 years, the experts of our true Sun Great World will descend upon the divine wilderness world. Only by joining us at this time and relying on us can you avoid this calamity that will destroy the entire divine wilderness world. I am saving you. Are you really willing to fight to the death when the time comes and be our eternal enemy? It seems that you've chosen the latter. Moreover, I believe that an unyielding senior like Emperor Tai Yi would rather die than submit. Therefore, I won't waste my breath and time persuading Emperor Tai Yi to hand over your Dao-bearing item and divine weapon to protect yourself. I'll fulfill Emperor Tai Yi's wish and send you on your way. With that, Qing Su raised his hand, and a streak of light had already condensed at the tip of his finger. Are you crazy? Don't tell me you still can't see the situation clearly. You won't gain anything by choosing to stubbornly resist eternal. Emperor Tai Yi roared angrily, as if he hated Zhou Donghuang for not fighting. I've only cultivated to this level for a dozen years. Who knows what level I've broken through in 10 years? The unrivaled realm? Or world creation? Do I need to be afraid of the people from Eternal who are about to arrive? Moreover, do you really think that we don't know anything about your Eternal and the true Sun Great World behind you? When the time comes, we will naturally have a way to stop the cultivators of the true Sun Great World from coming to our divine wilderness world. Even Wu Lu Dao Master has seen this clearly, so he chose to surrender to our Heaven's Vault 4 sects. But you have always harbored extravagant hopes. Alright, let me send you on your way. Wait. Wait a minute. Seeing that Tsing Hui's sword light was about to strike down, the Tai Yi Emperor's expression finally changed. He hurriedly shouted, did you just say that Wu Lu Dao Master has already surrendered? He actually. That's right, the leakless Dao Sovereign has indeed surrendered and is willing to give the heavenly law base to our 4-sect alliance to become our 4-sect alliance's new base. However, there's no point in telling you this now. I will fulfill your loyalty to the true Sun Great World. When Emperor Tai Yi saw the sword light coming, he finally lost his previous confidence. He cried out in frustration, stop. Stop. I agree to your conditions. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, if you don't attack, I will agree to your conditions. Very good. Then, hand over your Taoist items, divine weapons, treasures of heaven and earth, and chaos incantation. Also, make a chaos oath. This chaos oath is to ensure your interests and also our interests. I understand. When Emperor Tai Yi heard that Xing Hui was willing to make a chaos oath, he was slightly relieved. Now that his life was in Xing Hui's hands, if Xing Hui really wanted to kill him, there was no need for him to do so. After violating the chaos oath, his chaos level would be lowered by 5 levels, which was a whole 500 Taoist rhymes. Therefore, with this chaos oath, he believed that Xing Hui was willing to let him live. However, when he thought of the fact that he had to hand over all his Taoist items and divine weapons to Xing Hui, Emperor Tai Yi could not help but feel a pang of heartache. He was really back to square one. Fortunately, his vacuum-shattering cultivation was still early. He only needed to settle down for a period of time before he could make a comeback. Very good. However, you must also tell me all the information about True Sun Great World that you mentioned just now. I will also include this information in the Chaos Oath. Now that Emperor Tai Yi had given in, he did not force himself. After making a Chaos Oath with Xing Hui, he replied, "In fact, although the people from True Sun Great World have already obtained the coordinates of our world, without our cooperation, they will not be able to arrive in a short period of time. After all, it is too difficult and exhausting to teleport from one world to another without the help of the Chaos Temple. This is especially true for the first round of teleportation when the space passage is opened. Therefore, the experts from True Sun Great World will only arrive in 100 years at the earliest." 100 years. Xing Hui looked at Emperor Tai Yi and could not help but sneer. Emperor Tai Yi had said that 100 years was 10 years. He was really good at bullshitting. Emperor Tai Yi was a little embarrassed, but still said, "The main problem is that we do not have enough void crystals. If we had enough void crystals, or even obtained the world core from Sword Master Xing Hui, we would have been able to activate the formation and complete the connection between the two sides. The people from True Sun Great World would then be able to trace and lock onto the transmission channel provided by our transmission formation. When the time comes, they would be able to easily travel to and from the divine wilderness world. This process may not even take a year. I chose an intermediate number between 1 year and 100 years. I am not lying to you, Sword Master Xing Hui. Unfortunately, Eternal will never be able to take the world core from Sky Dome World for yourself," Xing Hui said indifferently. Emperor Tai Yi was speechless. Eternal has already contacted True Sun Great World 1,000 years ago. Tell me in detail about the current situation of True Sun Great World. This is all included in the Chaos Contract. If you hide anything from me, the Chaos Contract will activate and cause your Chaos level to fall. I will immediately sense it. At that time, don't blame me for being ruthless. I will tell you everything I know." Emperor Tai Yi hurriedly agreed, and then organized his words a little before slowly saying, "Back then, True Sun Great World and Heaven Great World invaded Divine Wilderness Great World together. In the end, both sides suffered great losses. Divine Wilderness Great World was completely destroyed, and True Sun Great World and Heaven Great World were no exception. However, compared to Heaven Great World, our True Sun Great World was not attacked by other hostile worlds. Although all the supreme ancestors of True Sun Great World had fallen in that battle, in the past 10,000 years, 3 supreme ancestors had risen to power and occupied the 3 most prosperous continents of True Sun Great World. As for the remaining 3 continents, 2 of them were occupied by divine beasts and saint beasts, and they were heaven for fierce beasts. The last one was occupied by the fierce beasts and the cultivators who were expelled from the 3 continents. Supreme Ancestor. Is that the Chaos Realm? Yes. Monarch Tai Yi nodded. In the vast cosmos, only those who can create a world with a thought can be considered true almighties. For example, in our divine wilderness, we call divine power realm almighties only because true experts are too rare. As for those at the primal chaos realm who can create a world with a thought, all of them occupy a continent, protect a civilization, a race, or even a great world. Such people are often called supremes or patriarchs. True Sun Great World has 3 Chaos Realm Supremes. Xing Hui's heart turned solemn. According to the ancient records passed down from the divine wilderness, the Chaos Realm is also divided into 6 realms. Which 6 realms are they? Emperor Tai smiled bitterly. I'm just a small vacuum-shattering cultivator, so I really don't know. I only know that every Chaos Realm powerhouse is called a Supreme. As for how the 6 realms are divided, I really don't know. At this point, he was afraid of being punished by the Primal Chaos contract, so he hurriedly revealed his guess. However, it's rumored that 10,000 years ago, the Divine Wilderness Great Worlds Organization, Immortal Emperor, had given birth to an existence known as a ruler. That ruler had most likely broken through to the 2nd level of the Primal Chaos Realm. Sword Venerable, go find out. Supreme. Xing Hui nodded and said no more. Alright, that's all for now. Hand over the items. Yes. The Tai Emperor was unwilling to give up. He took out all the items in his personal space and had them transferred into Qing Su's personal space. It had to be mentioned that as an eternal sovereign and ruler, the Tai Emperor possessed far more treasures than regular saints. Regular saints would have around 200 treasures, but as an eternal ruler, the Tai Emperor possessed a shocking 1,600 treasures, which was more than half of the treasures found on the saints earlier. With these treasures, Qing Su would be able to take down the Wood Spirit Queen and the Originator with difficulty even without waiting for the treasures to arrive. Not to mention that the Tai Emperor also possessed other valuable treasures and weapons apart from the treasures. The value of all these treasures would definitely exceed 3,000 charms of ways in total. Sword Venerable Xing Hui, can I leave now? Emperor Tai Yi's expression turned bitter when he realized he was penniless. Of course. You can leave now that you've handed over the items. With that, Qing Su flicked his hand, and all the chains on the Tai Emperor were removed. Afterwards, he ignored the Tai Emperor and made his way out of the prison first. However, other than Venerable Origin's son, there was another person waiting outside the prison. It was Sword Master Profound Comprehension, who had been killed by Imperial Lord Tai with a single strike. It was only after everyone rescued his corpse and used a resurrection technique that they were able to revive him. Sword Master Profound Comprehension, I'll leave him to you. I promised him to leave Sky Dome. Once he leaves Sky Dome, his life and death are no longer under our jurisdiction. Therefore, it's up to you how you want to take revenge. Xing Hui smiled at Sword Master Profound Comprehension. Thank you, Sword Venerable Xing Hui. Ha, he's exhausted his essence, chi, and spirit. I'm afraid he's even weaker than an ordinary almighty. In addition, he's already handed over many of his treasures. If I still can't kill him, then I'd rather buy a piece of tofu and kill myself. Sword Master Profound Comprehension said. Xing Hui nodded slightly and strode away. He had to take down the Originator and the Wood Spirit Queen as soon as possible. Chapter 759. As expected, I haven't refined the innate charm in my sword moves, so I can't bear the power of the Grand Origin. There's only one way to refine the Grand Origin, and that's to refine it into my Deep Scarlet Sword. Once I obtain the Grand Origin, the Deep Scarlet Sword's power will definitely skyrocket. Correspondingly, my attacks will rise as well. Xing Hui stared at the strand of grayish-black energy that gave off a profound presence in his courtyard. He felt a sliver of pity. He possessed 3 Grand Origin treasures that all Saint Realm experts yearned for. However, due to the deviation in his cultivation system, he was unable to use the benefits of the Grand Origin for himself. He could only choose to refine the Grand Origin into the Deep Scarlet Sword like he did with the Extreme Way of the Sword, completing the peak weapon. Let's see just how far you can grow. Xing Hui felt a slight sense of regret, but he did not hesitate. His battle prowess would increase markedly if the Deep Scarlet Sword transformed. He immediately refined the Grand Origin into the Deep Scarlet Sword without any hesitation. After being refined by the Originator, the Scarlet Abyss Sword began to transform as he had guessed. Strands of energy from the Originator fused into the Scarlet Abyss Sword, constantly cleansing the Scarlet Abyss Sword's body and increasing its power until the Scarlet Abyss Sword could completely contain the Originator's power. There are 2 more grand origins left. Sing Hui's gaze paused on the deep scarlet sword for a while before shifting to the remaining grand origins. He planned to give one to the venerable Master Tsang Qiong. As for the other, the best choice in his heart was none other than the venerable Master Tsang Zhen. Unfortunately, the venerable Master Tsang Zhen had yet to break through to the domain realm. Even if he used the grand origin, he would not be able to use it. Let's wait and see. Sing Hui thought as he projected a portion of his consciousness into his personal space. Many exotic flowers and fruits had been planted in the space he had carved out from his personal space. Even the dragonization fruit tree that he had obtained from the spatial maze had been planted there. Apart from that, the wood spirit queen that he had bought from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had been placed there as well. However, as the wood spirit queen was too reliant on spiritual energy, even though Tsing Hui had placed all the upper grade and supreme grade spiritual crystals he obtained from those saints into this space for the wood spirit queen to absorb and refine, the wood spirit queen had only given birth to 3 wood spirits. It was still far from evolving into a large-scale wood spirit race. Under the care of the 3 wood spirits, the dragonization fruit tree was gradually showing signs of life. Sing Hui was filled with anticipation. If the dragonization fruit tree could produce a large number of dragonization fruits again, not only would his body become significantly stronger, reaching the level of a class 13, class 14, or even class 15 creature, but even the essence of his life could break through again under the influence of the dragonization fruit, reaching the level of a divine beast. When that happened, he could use the transformation technique to transform into a divine beast. Whether it was the duration or the grade of the divine beast he could transform into, he would be much more powerful than he was now. Even the 49 strands of sword chi that he had nurtured would become much more powerful. I wonder what kind of effects will there be if I bury a portion of the originator here for the wood spirit queen to absorb. Sing Hui stared at the wood spirit queen and the 3 wood spirits that she had given birth to for a while as he thought to himself curiously. However, after a while, he suppressed that thought. The originator was far too useful right now. Using it to nurture the dragonization fruit tree would be a waste. It was better to wait until he bought more of the originator from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion before considering using it in his personal space. Over 4,000 Taoist rhymes worth of items carrying Taoist rhymes have been completely spent. Sing Hui turned his gaze away from his personal space and glanced at his chaotic class. He could not help but sigh. However, when he thought of the large amount of items carrying Taoist rhymes he would receive after selling the divine weapons of the saints, he felt a lot more relaxed. Even though the divine weapons that the saints had bought from him were all sold at a friendly price, which was much lower than the market price, and many people did not have the ability to pay for these divine weapons in a short period of time, Sing Hui estimated that after these divine weapons were all sold, he would still receive more than 5,000 Taoist rhymes. The foundation of the divine wilderness world, too powerful. The cultivators of the divine wilderness world might lack crucial cultivation resources, but they definitely did not lack items carrying Taoist rhymes. Sword Sovereign Sing Hui. Just as Sing Hui was calculating his final profit from selling these divine weapons, a voice came from outside. Sword Master Bai Heng. Hearing this familiar voice, Sing Hui was a little surprised, but he quickly said, "Please come in." The door was pushed open and Sword Master Bai Heng, dressed in white, walked in, bringing with him the faint fragrance of a young girl. There have been many things happening during this period of time. I have yet to congratulate you on becoming an ultimate expert, Shuaing. Looking at the youthful and beautiful Sword Master Bai Heng in front of him, Sing Hui said with a smile. You must be laughing at me. Compared to you, my so-called ultimate expert is not just a little bit worse. I am different from you. Sing Hui said. His achievements today were all due to the Fortune Divine Jade, but Sword Master Bai Heng, she had only relied on herself. When Sword Master Bai Heng first entered the cultivation world, he practiced the sword for 3 years. In the autumn moon, he placed his thoughts on people and comprehended sword intent. After practicing the sword for 36 years, he suffered a calamity and his father passed away. He was heartbroken and his sword intent reached the large success stage. After practicing the sword for 84 years, he sensed the yin and yang of the world, the changes of the sun and the moon, the cycle repeated, and his sword intent reached perfection. After comprehending the sword for 104 years, his sword transformed into a great sun, the universe within it, and his sword momentum began to take shape. Up until now, it was said that she had cultivated for less than 200 years. In 200 years, she had become one of the strongest experts in the divine wilderness. Her talent was so high that it was unprecedented. It was precisely because of this that the heavenly Tao viewed her and her white rainbow sword sect as a huge threat. The Karma Peak stronghold even personally monitored the white rainbow sword sect. By constantly causing trouble for the white rainbow sword sect and drawing Sword Master Bai Heng's attention away, he was able to remain in the domain realm for several decades. But even so, she had still stepped into the divine realm in less than 200 years. What kind of talent was this? At the very least, when he thought back to everything he had encountered along the way, Xing Hui could only admit that he was inferior in terms of talent. Shuaing, may I know why you're here this time? Of course I'm here for your supernatural power, Xing Hui. You should know that I've been in seclusion ever since I broke through the seal of the Chaos Tao Master. During this period of time, I've developed a new swordsmanship behind the concept of your Sword of the Sun. I want to show it to you and ask you about your understanding of this swordsmanship. Oh. You've created a new swordsmanship after the Sword of the Sun. Xing Hui couldn't help but be surprised when he heard this. After all, he had gathered the wisdom of all the researchers on Earth to deduce the Sword of the Eclipse and the Sword of the Black Sun in a short period of time. Now, Sword Master Bai Heng had deduced a new swordsmanship in just a few years, which made him quite curious. What swordsmanship is it? I've discovered a very interesting phenomenon. As Bai Shuaing spoke, she took out her sword and shook it slightly. Suddenly, the entire cultivation room seemed to be swept up by a storm, causing the room to flutter. Sorry, I was in a hurry. After Bai Shuaing finished speaking, she activated her domain and wrapped it around her sword. Then, the sword in her hand began to vibrate again. Streaks of fiery light appeared amidst the vibrations. These were the flames that were emitted by the Sword of Sunlight after its power had been reduced to the minimum. Supernova starburst. Seeing the mystical power that escaped from Bai Shuaing's swordsmanship, Xing Hui was slightly startled. Although the power of her swordsmanship was much weaker than that of the supernova starburst, the direction of development and the principle of energy utilization were completely the same as that of the supernova starburst. He didn't expect that she would be able to push the Sword of the Sun to such a level with her own wisdom. Next should be the form of the Sword of the Sun. Look. Is there any difference between the flames at the very center and the flames at the edge? Bai Shuaing asked excitedly after her swordsmanship had been deduced for a while. What's the difference? Xing Hui stared at the flames of energy escaping from Bai Shuaing's sword. Aren't you going to continue evolving your swordsmanship? The collapse of energy will eventually form a kind of supergravity that will imprison the surrounding space. Supergravity? Imprison space? Bai Shuaing's starry eyes lit up when she heard this. That's a line of thought. However, what I've observed is the abnormalities within and outside the collapse of energy. Have you noticed that when the collapse of energy forms a supergravity, the speed at which the energy circulates is completely different from the speed at which the energy circulates outside? It's like, time is being shortened under the influence of this supergravity. Time is being shortened. Before Xing Hui came to the divine wilderness, he had a deep understanding of the evolution of stars. Gravity did indeed have an astonishing effect on spacetime. In a field with great gravity, 1 hour inside could be equivalent to a year outside. Thinking of this, Xing Hui didn't dare to use his theory of the Sword of the Sun to look at the third sword Bai Heng had deduced. Sword Master Bai Heng was a true genius that he was ashamed of. Her genius theory was very likely to be even more amazing than the swordsmanship he had deduced by combining all the scientists on Earth. After all, scientists weren't cultivators. They could only provide data as a reference. The one who had truly deduced the Sword of the Sun was Xing Hui. However, Bai Shuaing was different. She was an expert in the divine realm. This advantage was far from what Xing Hui and the other scientists could compare to. Thinking of this, Xing Hui immediately focused on observing the changes in Sword Master Bai Heng's swordsmanship. Half an hour later, Bai Shuaing's face was a little pale as she stopped the evolution of her third sword. She felt a little regretful, but at the same time, she was filled with anticipation for the future. This is the theory of the third sword that I developed after learning the Sword of Glorious Sun and the Sword of Dazzling Sunday. Unfortunately, this sword consumes too much energy, so my progress is very slow. I have a feeling that if I can really create this sword and continue to study it, I will definitely be able to walk down a completely different path. Chapter 760. Xing Hui thought about the curvature theory of gravitational spacetime that he had collected from Earth's civilization. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded seriously and said, "I believe you." In the end, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "How did you derive this sword technique?" "You might not believe me if I tell you." A hint of wonder appeared on Bai Shuaing's face as she said, "A few years ago, due to the war between the Primal Chaos and the Primal Chaos, I coincidentally entered a world with extremely advanced alchemy. The people of that world are weak, but they possess a different type of power, and their ability to utilize the power of nature is astonishing. I learned some of their key theories, which allowed me to derive the prototype of this sword technique. It's just a pity that the war between the Primal Chaos and the Primal Chaos lasted far too short a time, a world with extremely advanced alchemy." Xing Hui knew that the people of this world would call technological civilizations an alchemy civilization. It seemed that Bai Shuaing had arrived in a civilization similar to the future form of Earth's civilization. Thinking of this, Xing Hui didn't hide his knowledge of spacetime curvature theory. He directly said, "I have some knowledge that should be of some help to you in deriving your brand new sword technique." "Oh." Bai Shuaing's beautiful eyes immediately widened. "That's great." After a moment, she seemed to have thought of something and said, "However, I can't take advantage of you. This sword technique was derived by the two of us back then, right? I'll teach you the evolution of my current embryonic form of this sword technique. When the time comes, the two of us can study this sword technique together and strive to perfect it and derive it." "Okay." Xing Hui nodded. He was also very curious about Bai Shuaing's sword technique that involved spacetime. Considering the fact that Bai Shuaing's research into this sword strike was limited by the amount of energy she expended, he couldn't help but say, "I can take care of your excessive energy expenditure for you. You can solve it. The energy requirement of my sword technique isn't simple. Even a level 10 recovery ability is far from enough." When Qing Su said that, he vaguely felt that he had spoken rather rashly. However, when he considered the fact that Sword Master Bai Heng was on the same side as them right now, and the fact that the Zhongzhen monk was unable to use the Grand Genesis that should have been left for the Zhongzhen monk, he stopped hesitating and said directly, "I have a Grand Genesis with me." "The Genesis?" Bai Shuaing looked at Xing Hui in confusion. Clearly, she had no idea what the Genesis was. After all, not every Saint Stage powerhouse could come into contact with a peak existence like the Genesis, especially Sword Master Bai Heng, who had cultivated for less than 200 years. "This is it. Refine it with the power of your domain. You will naturally understand the mysteries of this item." Xing Hui took the Genesis that contained a mysterious aura. Bai Shuaing did not think too much about it when she saw that. Right now, she was in a hurry to perfect the theory behind her third sword strike. Since Qing Ruins had a way to resolve the problem she faced, she did not hesitate either. She directly refined the grand origin into her domain. Seeing this, Xing Hui couldn't help but be speechless. "You're refining it just like that? Aren't you afraid that I'll harm you? You're a big shot who can easily kill vacuum-shattering experts. If you want to harm me, you don't need to resort to such means. Moreover, the item you're giving me is obviously mysterious and extraordinary. I'll take it first." Bai Shuaing said with a generous smile. "All right, you won't regret your choice today," Xing Hui said. Bai Shuaing responded. In just a short moment, the genesis that she had refined into her domain began to react. She immediately became alert. Before she could finish speaking, she immediately sat down cross-legged and quickly entered a state of cultivation. She focused all her attention on refining the genesis. "You're quite bold." Xing Hui watched Swordmaster Bai Heng enter a state of cultivation in front of him. He didn't know if he should be moved or mocked at her trust in him. Shaking his head, Xing Hui left the cultivation room and activated the cultivation room's array formation. He left Swordmaster Bai Heng to cultivate while he went to another cultivation area. The transformation technique and divine technique had cooldowns. Without them, it wouldn't be easy for him to tear apart the divine wilderness with divine venerable ancient desolation. Therefore, he still needed to wait for a while. Taking advantage of this time, he simply took out Swordmaster Bai Heng's theory of her sword and studied it carefully. He wanted to see if he could refine this theory into his Sword of Solar Eclipse and Sword of Black Sun to make these two swords even more perfect. When Xing Hui entered a state of cultivation, everyone in the divine wilderness who knew about the fate of the eternal and heavenly Tao cultivators immediately felt uneasy. At this moment, the divine wilderness, led by divine venerable ancient desolation and assisted by divine venerable sky splitter, had gathered together to discuss how to deal with the rise of the heaven's four sects. The meeting had been going on for 2 days now, but all the saints and transcendent realms were still arguing with each other. They hadn't come to a conclusion at all, and it seemed like they would continue arguing like this until the end of time. Seeing this scene, divine venerable ancient desolation, who had been patiently waiting for them to come up with a solution, finally couldn't hold back and slammed the table. "Enough. Quarreling, what else can you do other than making meaningless noise? We're now discussing how to deal with the crisis of the heaven's four sects, not arguing endlessly. It's already been 10 days. Can you still not come up with a feasible solution?" Among the crowd, Divine Venerable Vast Sea hesitated for a moment, but still stepped forward and said, "Divine Venerable, it's not that we don't want to think of a solution to the problem we're facing, but we really don't know where to start. Xing Hui is really too amazing. After using the transformation technique, he can actually transform into a 16th order divine beast Kunpeng. He's so powerful that even the Tai Emperor who broke through to the void-shattering realm was not his match and was captured alive. Even if we racked our brains, how can we make up for the huge gap between the divine domain realm and the divine true body realm? Yes, fortunately, our divine wilderness is not part of the eternal and heavenly Tao, so we don't have any irreconcilable grudges with the heaven's four sects. Moreover, judging from Sword Venerable Xing Hui's attitude towards the divine wilderness experts during this period of time, he doesn't seem to have any intention of stirring up a storm of blood in our divine wilderness world. How about, we just follow the leakless holy man and rely on Sword Venerable Xing Hui? In any case, if this trend continues, the divine wilderness will be unified by Sword Venerable Xing Hui sooner or later. He will also take advantage of this opportunity to become the master of the Chaos Temple and take control of the Chaos Temple in our divine wilderness world. Divine Venerable Feng Shao said with a slightly probing tone. What a bunch of nonsense. As soon as he finished speaking, Divine Venerable Sky Splitter, who had a conflict with Xing Hui, angrily rebuked him. Look at all of you, are all of you scared out of your wits by Xing Hui? No matter how powerful he is, it's only because of his transformation technique. Right now, his transformation technique is obviously in cooldown period, which can be deduced from the fact that he hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity to attack the Heavenly Tao Station. In my opinion, what we need to do now is to take advantage of the cooldown period of Xing Hui's transformation technique to directly kill Xing Hui. As Divine Venerable Sky Splitter spoke, his gaze turned to Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation. Divine Venerable, you are an expert at the void-shattering realm. Wouldn't it be easy for you to kill Xing Hui without his transformation technique? Otherwise, when Xing Hui's transformation technique's cooldown period is over, what awaits our divine wilderness will definitely be a disaster. I think Divine Venerable Sky Splitter's words are reasonable. The reason why Xing Hui hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity to attack the Heavenly Tao is mainly because of the cooldown period of his transformation technique. Therefore, we must take advantage of the fact that he can't use his transformation technique to transform into a rank 16 divine beast, Kuan-Peng, to kill him and eliminate this threat once and for all. A divine venerable powerhouse stood up to express his support. Two other divine venerable powerhouses also nodded, agreeing with divine venerable Sky Splitter's words. Everyone, what you said about taking advantage of Tsing Hui's transformation technique's cooldown period to kill Tsing Hui is true, but what if we can't kill Tsing Hui? Don't forget that the Heaven Vault sect's side still has 3 supreme experts, Zhu Zhao, Qingying, and Bai Heng. These 3 supreme experts may not be a match for Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation if they join forces, but it won't be difficult for them to delay Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation for a period of time with the help of the Heaven Vault sect's formation. Once Tsing Hui uses these people to delay his transformation technique's cooldown period, our Divine Wilderness will really have no way of retreat. Divine Venerable Vast Sea said in a deep voice. He was obviously not optimistic about taking advantage of Tsing Hui's transformation technique's cooldown period to kill their way into the Heaven Vault sect. What are you afraid of? The worst outcome is that we can use our teleportation technique to escape and live incognito from now on. Don't tell me that if we don't take the risk, Tsing Hui and the Heaven Vault sect's people will let us go. Divine Venerable Sky Splitter squinted at Divine Venerable Vast Sea and said, "Are you willing to submit to Tsing Hui from now on and do things at his whim?" Yes, I agree with Divine Venerable Sky Splitter. If we don't take the risk, I won't be satisfied. Yes, the worst outcome is to leave the Divine Wilderness and find a nameless continent to live incognito and look for an opportunity to make a comeback. Anyway, Tsing Hui and the Heaven Vault sect's forces won't let us go no matter what, so we should take the risk. 2 more Divinity Stage powerhouses immediately expressed their attitudes. In an instant, 7 out of the 13 Saint Realm experts of the Divine Wilderness and the Great Wilderness sect had already expressed their attitudes, more than half of them. In that case, Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation saw that the Saint Realm experts had all made their decisions, as if he had also made a decision. A cold light flashed in his eyes and he said, then as Divine Venerable Sky Splitter said, "We'll take the risk." Divine Venerable, you can't. Even if we take the risk, we've already missed the best opportunity. It's been 10 days since the battle. In 10 days, Tsing Hui's transformation technique might have cooled down. If we go there now, we'll be like wolves in a tiger's den. Moreover, the so-called teleportation technique is not feasible. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui's sword intent is unbelievably powerful. How many of us here can withstand his sword intent? Divine Venerable Vast Sea tried his best to stop them. Sword intent. Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation's heart trembled violently when he heard Divine Venerable Vast Sea mention Tsing Hui's sword intent. The Saint Realm experts, who originally thought that they could rest easy with the teleportation technique, were also shocked. They immediately thought of the fate of the Eternals and the Heavenly Tao. Those saints. Didn't they also have the teleportation technique? However, under the bombardment of Tsing Hui's sword intent, they didn't even have time to activate the teleportation technique before they were severely injured by the sword intent and fainted, becoming prisoners. For a moment, the Saint Realm experts stopped talking. Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation, who had just gained a little bit of fighting spirit, was once again depressed. Everyone, the true goal of the Divine Wilderness is nothing more than to pass down the inheritance and to go to a wider world to pursue a higher cultivation realm. Now that Sword Venerable Tsing Hui has the ability to unify the Chaos Shrine and the Divine Wilderness, why should we stop him? Besides, even if we stop him, how can we stop him? In my opinion, instead of this, why don't we go with the flow and rely on Sword Venerable Tsing Hui? Chapter 761. The decision of the Divine Wilderness was not only surprising to everyone in the Firmament Realm. Even Qing Su, who had come out of seclusion, was surprised. He had thought that he would have to transform into the Kuan-Peng to teach the Divine Wilderness a lesson before the people of the Divine Wilderness would obediently submit to him. He never expected them to take the initiative to come knocking on his door. In the conference hall in the sky, the Reverend Jinzhao, the Reverend Firmament, the Reverend Xingyi, the Shadow-bearing Sword Master, the Profound Comprehension Sword Master, the Rainbow Sword Master who had hurried over from the Rainbow Sword sect, and the true God of Suffering and the only true God who had hurried over from the Black Flame sect all watched as the Reverend Primordial Desolation, the Reverend Vast Sea, and the others treated the Green Ruins Sword Master with rather strange expressions. Since when did Supreme God Ancient Wilderness, who was so powerful in their hearts that it was almost impossible to defeat and contend with him, take the initiative to submit to him? Over a decade ago, the Divine Wilderness, the Way of Heaven, and the Eternal School planned on working together to clear out the Divine Wilderness and the Children of Chaos, but they never expected that in just over a decade, the Way of Heaven would have already been dispersed. It basically existed in name only, while the Eternal School had completely collapsed. Even the ruler of the Eternal School, the Tai Emperor, who had always reigned at the top of the ranking of the strongest in the Divine Wilderness, had been slain by the Sword Master of Profound Comprehension before he could recover. And now, the only super-large organization of chaos, the Divine Wilderness, wanted to submit to the Green Ruins Sword Venerable. The Divine Wilderness, Tian Dao, and Eternity had all been disintegrated. Firmament Master and Sword Shadow had united as one. How could the remaining chaos organizations, such as Temple of Saints, Grand Supreme, and Crimson Wings, fight against them? At this rate, it would not be long before Firmament Master completely unified the Chaos world and had a chance to become the Master of the Chaos Temple. Thinking of this, Firmament Master and esteemed Zhu Zhao looked at each other and saw the excitement and anticipation in each other's eyes. Does the Divine Wilderness want to submit to us? I can agree. However, it is true that the Divine Wilderness wanted to rob us of the heart of the world when Firmament Master was threatened by Eternity. We will not let this matter go so easily. Therefore, hand over the Taoist rhymes of the Divine Wilderness and I will accept your submission. Otherwise, the Divine Wilderness will wait for the revenge of the 4 sects of Firmament Master. After a discussion with Master Firmament, Master Zhu Zhao, the Shadow-bearing Sword Master, Xingyi Sword Master, Rainbow Sword Master, and so on, Qing Su stated his conditions. The people of the Divine Wilderness were allowed to maintain their primal chaos level, their own wealth, and their divine weapons. However, the Divine Wilderness reserve of Taoist rhymes had to be handed over. Hand over our Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes? Upon hearing Tsing Hui's words, Supreme God Ancient Desolation revealed a troubled expression. However, before he could open his mouth, Tsing Hui had already waved his hand. He did not give him any leeway as he said, there is no room for discussion on this matter. Not a single bit of the Divine Wilderness's Tao ripples can be left behind. When Supreme God Ancient Desolation heard Tsing Hui's words, even though he was prepared to pay a huge price when he came to surrender, he still felt his heart ache when he had to hand over all of the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. However, compared to being captured by Tsing Hui and being stripped of all of his Taoist rhymes, divine weapons, and even primal chaos level, it was obviously more acceptable to hand over all of the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. After all, the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes did not belong to any one person. Even if the loss was huge, it would be shared equally by everyone. Thinking of this, Supreme God Ancient Desolation gritted his teeth and agreed. We will do as Sword Venerable Tsing Hui says. We are willing to hand over all of our Taoist rhymes to show our sincerity. Very well. Tsing Hui smiled faintly and agreed. According to the information I received, the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes 10 years ago was 1,600. I hope that the number of Tao rhymes handed over by the Divine Wilderness will not be less than this number. Supreme God Ancient Desolation's face suddenly darkened. The number that Tsing Hui said was almost exactly the same as the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. He did not know who leaked this secret, so he could not even take a little of the reserve Tao rhymes for his own use. In 3 days, Supreme God Ancient Desolation should be able to gather all of these Tao rhymes, right? After all, we are still waiting 3 days to deal with the remnants of the heavenly Tao. Tsing Hui said. As for why 3 days later, Supreme God Ancient Desolation understood that it was not because Tsinghui wanted to wait 3 days for the transformation technique to cool down, but because it was to see the divine wilderness attitude. If the divine wilderness dared to say no, they would not be dealing with the remnants of the heavenly Tao in 3 days, but directly invading the divine wilderness and completely removing the last nail. Supreme God Ancient Desolation, who understood this, did not hesitate to agree. Yes. That's good. At this moment, Venerable Firmament spoke. Sword Venerable Tsinghui, our divine wilderness has been in chaos for so long, and the Chaos Temple has always been without a master. As a result, the resources in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion of the Sons of Chaos above rank 30 have been monopolized by the surrounding large worlds, which has seriously affected the overall development of our divine wilderness. As a result, even though our divine wilderness has an extremely rich Tao rhyme production, we can only be exploited by the surrounding large worlds, using extremely high prices to buy cheap cultivation resources from their worlds. At this point, he paused for a moment. And since 10,000 years ago, the production of many Tao rhymes in our divine wilderness has gradually decreased. Although the data obtained 10,000 years ago shows that our divine wilderness annual production of Tao rhymes is still around 15,000, if there are any forces that can complete the relevant statistics, they will find that the annual production of Tao rhymes in the divine wilderness has fallen below 10,000. Therefore, the situation of using sky-high prices to buy cheap cultivation resources cannot continue. In my opinion, we might as well call for all the Sons of Chaos to convene a Chaos Assembly in a year's time to discuss the matter of electing the Master of the Chaos Temple and completely break the resource blockade of our divine wilderness by the surrounding large worlds. Discuss the matter of electing the Master of the Chaos Temple. Hearing the words of the Firmament Master, the Supreme God Ancient Desolation and the rest of the people from the Divine Desolate region were slightly startled. They hesitated for a moment, but since the situation was stronger than them, they could only agree, the Firmament Master is right. Our Divine Desolate region should elect a person who everyone supports to be the Master of the Chaos Divine Palace and help our Divine Desolate region break the seal formed by the surrounding great worlds. Hierarch Vast Sea also echoed, in fact, our Divine Wilderness has long had the idea of unifying the Divine Wilderness and wanted to use the people of the Divine Wilderness to establish the Master of the Chaos Temple. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Tao and the Eternals have been obstructing us in every possible way, causing us to have no progress. But now that the Heavenly Tao and the Eternals have been annihilated by Sword Honorable Tsinghui, without the obstruction of these two forces and with the unparalleled strength displayed by Sword Honorable Tsinghui, unifying the Divine Wilderness and electing the Master of the Chaos Temple will not be difficult. When the time comes, the hierarchy of the Sons of Chaos in our Divine Wilderness will definitely welcome unprecedented rapid development under the leadership of Sword Honorable Tsinghui. Hierarch Ancient Desolation and Hierarch Vast Sea, the two outsiders, were already in such a state. Naturally, True God Suffering, True God One, and Sword Honorable Long Rainbow, who were members of the Four-Sect Alliance, agreed wholeheartedly. The birth of a new Master of the Chaos Temple was not a bad thing for the Divine Wilderness, especially for the people of the four sects of the Heaven's Dome realm. After all, based on the current situation of the Divine Wilderness, the person who could become the Master of the Chaos Temple was none other than Sword Honorable Tsinghui. Sword Honorable Tsinghui himself was a member of the Four-Sect Alliance. If he became the Master of the Chaos Temple, the status of the people of the Four-Sect Alliance would also rise. Since no one has any objections, why don't we make a trip to other places and spread the news, asking these people to gather in the Sky Dome realm within a year to discuss the matter of electing Sword Honorable Tsinghui as the Master of the Chaos Temple. During this time, I will also open up a portion of the Sky Dome realm's authority, allowing anyone to enter and exit the Sky Dome realm. Hierarch Firmament said. We will make the arrangements now. Our sword shadow has some relations with the Crimson Wings. I will go and inform them. I will go to the people of the Sun Moon Divine Court. Hierarch Firmament's words immediately received a response from everyone present. As for Tsinghui, he looked on and did not stop them. Although the Master of the Chaos Temple could not control the life and death of the Sons of Chaos within his range, he would have a great advantage. For example, only the master of the Chaos Temple could put some items into the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to sell. Another example was that the master of the Chaos Temple could adjust the range of the Chaos Temple. Although the adjustment was not large, it could sometimes produce unexpected effects. There were also various effects of different sizes. With these effects, the Heaven's Dome realm would have a unique advantage if it wanted to develop into the #1 chaos organization in the Divine Wilderness. Hierarch Ancient Desolation, your Divine Wilderness has been passed down for 10,000 years. You must have kept many books from the Divine Wilderness glorious era. These books are useful to me, so I hope that Hierarch Ancient Desolation will not be stingy with them. After the matter was settled, Xing Hui made another request. Hierarch Ancient Desolation naturally did not dare to reject such a small request. He quickly said, since Sword Honorable Xing Hui needs these books, I will get someone to prepare them. I will personally send them to Sword Honorable Xing Hui's palace in a few days. Alright. In that case, I will have to trouble Hierarch Ancient Desolation. Sword Honorable Xing Hui, you are too polite. Hierarch Ancient Desolation and Xing Hui exchanged some pleasantries before leaving worriedly. Next, they had to think of a way to gather the 1,600 Daoist rhymes as soon as possible. Only then could they preserve the Divine Wilderness inheritance in this world. After the people of the Divine Wilderness left, True God's Suffering, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Xingyi, and the others dispersed, Xing Hui went to Heaven's Dome Master again. Master, I strongly support your decision to elect the Master of the Chaos Temple. However, I have some objections to the choice of the Master of the Chaos Temple. Heaven's Dome Master seemed to understand something after hearing Xing Hui's words. He was stunned. Sword Honorable Xing Hui. You mean you're not willing to become the Master of the Chaos Temple? That's right. Xing Hui nodded. To be honest, I have something important to do. In order to complete this, I need to break through to the supreme realm of world creation with one thought in 12 years. Even if I can't reach world creation with one thought, I need to reach the realm of traversing. The current environment of the Divine Wilderness is obviously not enough for me to make consecutive breakthroughs in such a short period of time. Hence, I can only head to the True Sun Great World and try my luck there. If I leave the Divine Wilderness, my identity as the Master of the Chaos Temple will be useless. Hence, I will have to ask Heaven's Dome Master to choose someone else to be the Master of the Chaos Temple. Chapter 762. Choose someone else. The Firmament Master hesitated for a moment. Apart from you, who else in the alliance of our 4 sects can convince everyone to be the Master of the Chaos Temple? It can only be Zhu Zhao Venerable. Qing Su said, Venerable Zhu Zhao is close to breaking through to the Void Shatterer realm, and with his accumulation, it won't be difficult for him to crush the Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness once he reaches the Void Shatterer realm. Coupled with the existence of the Grand Essence, he'll definitely reach the Divine True Body realm before the Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness in the future. By then, he'll be able to oversee the entire situation. Moreover, Xing Hui took out the last originator. Master, if you refine this originator, you'll be able to reach the Void Transformation realm soon, right? With the help of the World Core, it'll only take you a few years to reach the Void Shattering realm. By then, we'll have 2 Void Shattering realm experts. Even Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness won't be able to do anything. The originator. Firmament Master took a deep breath when he saw the originator that Xing Hui took out. His body trembled slightly. This was a supreme treasure that even experts who could create a world with a single thought would think of all sorts of ways to snatch it away. They would even go as far as to break their skulls. But now, it was right in front of him. Having obtained the originator, his future achievements would definitely be limitless. He might even have a sliver of hope to see through the mysteries of the 6 divine realms and step into the realm of primal chaos. Xing Hui, I don't have enough carrier items now. But don't worry, I'll try my best to make up for all the carrier items you need from the originator. Firmament Master promised solemnly. That's not necessary. I have a lot of carrier items with me now. Xing Hui shook his head. In the end, he seemed to have thought of something and said, "If you really feel guilty, help me take care of the eastern wilderness." Guru Tsangxiong immediately understood Xing Hui's intentions. He solemnly said, "You can be rest assured that as long as I, Tsangxiong, am alive, I will not allow any harm to befall the eastern wasteland. Furthermore, I will also think of ways to support the members of your Zhuo clan. The Zhuo family. Let's see how talented they are. If they are talented, we can nurture them. If they are not, we can just let them spend the rest of their lives in the eastern wilderness. There is no need to lure them into the huge whirlpool that is Tianhuang." Xing Hui said after pondering for a while. As for the Zhuo family, the only ones he had any feelings for were Zhuo Yunqing and Nailan Fei. However, Nailan Fei's lifelong wish was to become the ruler of the eastern wilderness. If she was willing to come to the eastern wilderness, he would entrust the firmament master to take care of her. If she was unwilling to come, he would let her do whatever she wanted in the eastern wilderness. It was the same for Zhuo Yunqing. If they chose to wander the eastern wilderness, Xing Hui would support them. If they were unwilling to come to the eastern wilderness, he would not force them. "Well, get ready. Let's go to the heavenly Tao. Our temporary residence is still inferior to the heavenly Tao. Once we move there, we can truly be said to be free of worries," Xing Hui said. Guru Tsangxiong nodded with a smile. The heavenly Tao's protective mountain formation has reached the 15th level. If it is guarded by a acoustic shattering expert, even a divine true body will not be able to break it in a short time. It is more than enough to suppress the overall situation of the divine wilderness. I will make the arrangements. Xing Hui nodded. Guru Tsangxiong was very efficient. On the third day, Guru Tsangxiong, Guru Zhuzhao, Guru Tsangxiong, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, as well as Anisrava holy man who had surrendered to Guru Tsangxiong, set off at the same time toward the heavenly Tao and began the battle to destroy the heavenly Tao. However, when the group of people arrived at the heavenly Tao, intending to borrow the hands of Anisrava holy man and Xing Hui to break the protective mountain formation of the heavenly Tao and tear it apart, they were shocked to find that the upper echelons of the heavenly Tao had all fled. From the divine true body to the Tao masters and perfected cultivators, no one knew where they had gone. Only a few Jindan realm elders and deacons remained in the heavenly Tao without knowing the truth. Even though the protective mountain formation of the heavenly Tao was incomparably powerful, the cultivator in charge of the formation had fallen to the Jindan realm. In addition, Xing Hui also had Anisrava holy man, a 13th level formation master who was originally responsible for the maintenance of the formation. In less than half an incense stick of time, the mountain gate of the heavenly Tao had been blasted open. The people of the four sects of Guru Tsangxiong swarmed in and quickly occupied the heavenly Tao. They all fled very quickly. Master Tsang Zhen, who was traveling with Xing Hui, snorted coldly. Xing Hui's gaze was constantly sizing up the heavenly Tao. After a moment, he saw Master Zhu Zhao leap out from the heavenly Tao with a somewhat gloomy expression. Seeing Master Zhu Zhao, Yulan, who knew what he had just done, hurriedly went forward and asked, "Master, did you find the broken sword?" Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. "This traitor fled very quickly, and now there is no trace of him." "Master, don't worry. Now, our four-sect alliance is like the sun in the sky in the divine wilderness world. Our overlord status has completely revealed itself. When the time comes, we just need to release a message and reward anyone who provides clues about the broken sword. Soon, countless people, even powerful figures and divine true bodies, will think of ways to find the broken sword for us." True God's Suffering, who had come along with the large group, said with a smile. Master Zhu Zhao nodded. This was the only method they could use. Let him live for a while longer. Although he is alive, he will definitely be in fear for a period of time. He will not dare to trust anyone around him. Isn't this torture his punishment for betraying us? Xing Hui also comforted him. Master Zhu Zhao's mood improved a lot when he heard this. The battle of the heavenly Tao came to an end with a strong start and a weak finish. However, this was also within the expectations of Tsing Hui and the others. After all, the strongest heavenly Tao, Chaos Tao Master, had fled into the endless void. The second strongest person, Anusrava Tao Master, had surrendered to heaven. The remaining divine true bodies had either died, fled, or surrendered. They had lost the courage to be enemies with the four sects of heaven. It was not strange that the four sects could easily defeat the heavenly Tao. Next, we have to build up. Master Tianqiong said. That's right. The reason why we didn't dare to stay in Heaven Wasteland back then was because we were worried that one day someone would target our foundation and wipe us out in one fell swoop. Now that we have this formation left behind by the heavenly way, unless a terrifying existence who has cultivated a divine true body personally takes action, we can definitely rest easy. Yes, the heavenly Tao's base is indeed the best in the divine wilderness. This is also the reason why the heavenly Tao has dared to expand unscrupulously over the years. But now it has benefited us. The Rainbow Sword Master nodded in agreement. Tsing Hui looked at Master Tianqiong, the Shadow-bearing Sword Master, and the Rainbow Sword Master, who were all very interested in the heavenly Tao's base, as well as true God's suffering, who also wanted to speak. He was slightly moved. In fact, it is not convenient for the four sects of heaven to be called the four sects. Why don't we merge the four sects into one and form an absolute overlord force that can dominate the entire divine wilderness? The foundation of the new sect can be built on the land that we are currently standing on. Merge the four sects into one. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, the representatives of the four great forces were stunned and they instinctively wanted to reject. However, at that moment, Tsing Hui's position in everyone's hearts was extremely high. Even though they were unwilling to break the sect's inheritance, they had no choice but to consider his words carefully. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Tsing Hui quickly said, merging the four sects into one doesn't mean that everyone's inheritance will be broken. Just like how there might be a few mountains in a sect, the force formed by merging the four sects into one can also retain each sect's unique cultivation path. It won't affect everyone's inheritance at all. It is just a unified plan, so that when there are any major matters, the four sects will have to discuss it and it will affect the efficiency of the operation. Maintaining the inheritance of each sect, just like the sect's mountain, is equivalent to having different cultivation paths in one sect. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, everyone instantly considered carefully. After weighing the pros and cons, they suddenly realized that Tsing Hui's words were indeed very feasible. The four sects alliance that merged into one was obviously much more efficient than the four sects alliance that did things on their own. As for the price that they had to pay, it was nothing more than their own interests and status being affected. However, if they were to consider from the long-term perspective of the divine wilderness, their interests and status would be reduced in name, but in reality, it would be greatly increased. Especially since the request was made by Sword Honorable Tsing Hui. Currently, Sword Honorable Tsing Hui relied on the transformation skill to possess the invincible power to suppress the entire divine wilderness. Even if he really wanted to forcefully merge the four sects into one, no one could stop him. Rather than that, they might as well go with the flow. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui is right. The four sects alliance is indeed beneficial to our development. As long as we can ensure the inheritance of our sects, we agree to the four sects alliance. At that moment, Sword Master Long Rainbow and True God's Suffering took the lead to express their opinions. As for Sword Master Xingyi, he said, I will discuss it with the other Sword Masters. There shouldn't be any problems. After all, the four sects alliance is indeed beneficial to the four sects alliance. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui is one of the highest leaders of our Heaven's Vault sect. We will naturally support his proposal unconditionally. Firmament Master, who had recently obtained the Great Originator, naturally gave his full support to Tsing Hui. That's good. Tsing Hui smiled. Everyone, go and make your preparations. Also, discuss with Firmament Master and Zhu Zhao Master about the name and position of our new sects alliance. We can slowly discuss it and strive to come up with a process that will satisfy all of us. Soon, the upper echelons of the four sects alliance returned to their respective sects alliance. After 3 days, they returned to the Heavenly Law encampment and began to discuss the details of the new sex alliance. During this period, the Glorious Era sect, which had long wanted to join the four-sex alliance, took the initiative to join the alliance after hearing the news. As a result, the number of members in the alliance increased from 4-sex alliance to 5-sex alliance. Half a month later, the alliance of 5-sex alliance was officially established. The Hunyuan Sword sect, which was named after the Hunyuan Chamber of Commerce established by Tsing Hui, was officially established. The Hunyuan Sword sect currently had a Grand Elder, whose position was above everyone else. After the Grand Elder was the Sect Master, the Peak Masters of the various peaks, and the Elder Compound. After the Sect Master, the Elder Compound, and the Peak Masters of the various peaks were the positions of disciples and deacons. Currently, there was only one Grand Elder in the Hunyuan Sword sect. He was known as the strongest person in the Divine Wilderness, Sword Honorable Tsing Hui, who possessed the strongest battle strength. The Sect Master's position was held by Firmament Master. The Elder Compound had Zhu Zhao Master as the Great Elder. The Rainbow Sword Master, True God Suffering, True God One, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, and the others were among them. The remaining Peak Masters were naturally held by Soothing Sound Sword Sage and the other leaders of their respective sects. After the Hunyuan Sword sect was established and announced to the world, it immediately caused an uproar in the Divine Wilderness. Everyone understood that the moment the Hunyuan Sword sect was established, the era of the Hunyuan Sword sect in the Divine Wilderness had officially arrived. Chapter 763. Tsing Hui. On the mountain that belonged to the Great Elder of Qing Su, Sword Master Baiheng arrived at his residence under the accompaniment of the elders, Sword Master Changhong and Sword Saint Caressing. Qing Su was slightly surprised at first when she saw Bai Shuaing, who seemed to have emerged from seclusion. Afterwards, she sensed the change in her presence very soon, so she immediately stood up with a smile. "You've actually reached the Void Transformation Realm so quickly? Congratulations, congratulations. You took much less time to reach the Void Transformation Realm than esteemed Master Zhu Zhao. It's all thanks to the supreme treasure you gave me, Qing Su," said Qing Su. Bai Shuaing smiled. Beside Bai Shuaing, the Rainbow Sword sect's master came forward and bowed towards Qing Su seriously. "Great Elder, we've already asked Master Firmament about this. Master Firmament spent 1,500 charms to purchase this item from you. Our Rainbow Sword sect, our Rainbow Peak is truly unable to gather an item with 1,500 charms. We've only managed to gather an item with 1,283 charms after exhausting all of the sect's resources. Please accept it for now, Great Elder Qing Su. We'll definitely deliver the remaining 217 items to you in the next few years." As he spoke, Sword Master Chang Hong waved his hand. Tsing Hui's room was instantly filled with Dao ripples. Tsing Hui glanced at Bai Shuaing and then at Sword Master Chang Hong. He shook his head and said, "There's no need for that. We're all part of the same sect now." Giving this item to Bai Shuaing isn't. Before Qing Su could finish, the Sword Master of Long Rainbow, who knew what he wanted to say, shook his head seriously. "That's that. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. We're already extremely grateful that the Great Elder of Qing Su has bestowed such a precious treasure to Shuaing. How can we ask the Great Elder to pay for an item that carries the way yourself? My Baihong Peak is unable to do such a thing. Therefore, please accept these treasures no matter what." Bai Shuaing also said, "Tsing Hui, just accept it. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I won't be able to maintain a pure state of mind." When Tsing Hui heard this, he did not insist. Naturally, the more things that could carry the Tao, the better. "If that's the case, I'll accept your offer. I'll accept these treasures," Tsing Hui said. Sword Master Baiheng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and the Soothing Sword Master had specially come for this. After Tsing Hui accepted the items, they directly left. Instead, Sword Master Baiheng discussed the Sword of Eclipse with Tsing Hui again, as well as the various changes of the fourth sword, the Sword of Black Sunday. Only after 10 days did he leave reluctantly. After Sword Master Baiheng left, Tsing Hui did not casually go out. He focused all his energy on cultivating in seclusion. Although he had already learned the truth about the teleportation array from the Eternal Being and had secretly grasped the location of the teleportation array, the Reverend Zhu Zhao had yet to break through to the void-shattering realm, and the election of the Temple Master had yet to be completed. Once he left the divine wilderness world, who knew what kind of storm the supreme god of the ancient wilderness, who was the only one at the void-shattering realm, would cause? Therefore, even if he wanted to leave, he would have to wait for the Chaos Temple Master's election and for esteemed Zhu Zhao to break through to the void-shattering realm. Only then would the newly established Origin Sword sect be able to stabilize the situation in the Divine Wilderness world and sit firmly on the throne of the Chaos Temple Master and the Divine Wilderness world's #1 sect. Glancing at the thousands of Tao auras on his body, Tsing Hui took a deep breath. His gaze turned and fell on the many supreme immortal techniques that he had learned in the Fortune mainland. There is only one world that I can go to at the moment, and that is the true Sun Great World, which represents the force behind the Eternal Being. The transmission array that leads to the true Sun Great World from the Eternal Being is related to whether the force behind the true Sun Great World can invade the Divine Wilderness and occupy the vast amount of resources in the Divine Wilderness world. They will definitely send top experts to guard the transmission array. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a world creation expert personally overseeing the transmission array. In other words, if I want to go to the true Sun Great World, I first have to break through the blockade of a world creation expert. It was easy for him to break through the blockade of an expert with a single thought. All he needed was a teleportation technique. He even had the stasis technique. If one teleportation technique was not enough, he could use 2 teleportation techniques. If he was caught off guard, he did not believe that those experts with a single thought would be able to lock him down. The key was, after the transmission technique, he would hide. Then, to me, the most important thing is to cultivate the supreme immortal technique, shadowless stance, to the perfection realm. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui directly injected 1,000 Taoist rhymes into the Fortune Jade, causing it to immediately enter an activated state. The activated Fortune Jade immediately revealed infinite mysteries. Under the influence of these mysterious powers, Tsing Hui's mind was filled with the details of the supreme immortal technique, shadowless stance. It was as if dusty memories were gradually awakening in his mind. The speed of his comprehension and cultivation was far beyond his imagination. Not long after, he had completely comprehended this immortal technique and pushed it to the peak of the greater mastery realm. Then, before the activated state of the Fortune Jade disappeared, he entered the perfection realm. When this supreme immortal technique was cultivated to the perfection realm, he felt that his life aura had become extremely mysterious. It was extremely profound. His entire body was clearly integrated into the void, but he was able to separate himself from the many laws in the void, making it difficult for others to capture and deduce. Outside of the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. This was the final form of this supreme immortal technique. He did not know if he could be considered outside of the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements, but he had a vague feeling that if he wanted to hide, all traces of him would be erased. Unless it was a great existence who was so powerful that it could affect the operation of the laws of all things in the world, no other living being could deduce anything about him. Moreover, this immortal technique seems to be able to be further deduced. Perfection realm should not be the final stage. There should be a supreme realm above it, a realm that can be said to be returning to one's original state. But deducing this realm is clearly beyond the limits of the Fortune Jade's ability, or rather, it's beyond the limits of the incomplete Fortune Jade's ability. Qing Su sensed the profoundness of the supreme immortal technique, shadowless stance, as well as the unfathomable, profound, and indescribable mysterious state of the supreme immortal technique after reaching perfection. He had a premonition that if he wanted to forcefully use the incomplete Fortune Jade to deduce this supreme immortal technique, it would not be impossible, but the final consumption would be extremely shocking. Considering that the effect of the supreme immortal technique was so powerful that it could almost conceal him from the senses of all the experts he had come into contact with, he did not waste any more Tao rhymes on this immortal technique. Instead, he turned to another goal, reverse predicting the future. Reverse predicting the future. This was a supreme immortal technique that originated from one of the 6 supreme sects of the Fortune continent, the Grand Beginning sect. When this immortal technique was cultivated to the minor completion stage, it had the effect of predicting good and bad fortune. When it was cultivated to the perfection realm, it could vaguely sense bits and pieces of the long river of time. When it was cultivated to the perfection realm, it could even briefly glimpse the flow of the long river of time. However, compared to other supreme immortal techniques, the difficulty of cultivating this supreme immortal technique was not just a little bit higher. Even the I-Chi turning 3 pure ones and instant blooming flower, which were known as the most difficult immortal techniques to cultivate, were far from being as difficult as reverse predicting the future. Even though the Grand Beginning sect had obtained this immortal technique, after thousands of years, only one person had cultivated it to the minor completion realm. As for the perfection realm, it was unprecedented. If Tsing Hui wanted to go to the true Sun Great World, it would be very dangerous. If he could obtain this supreme immortal technique, reverse predicting the future, it would be able to greatly increase his safety. I'd like to see how difficult this supreme immortal technique, which is known as the most difficult to cultivate in the entire Fortune continent, is. Tsing Hui's gaze focused on this supreme immortal technique, and the Fortune Divine Jade's status was fully activated. All kinds of mysterious colors continuously flowed out from the Fortune Divine Jade, filling his spiritual world, causing a silent change to occur in his spiritual world, as if he was gradually coming into contact with a special existence. However, this change only lasted for a short while before it came to an abrupt end. When Tsing Hui came back to his senses, he took a closer look and immediately noticed that the first activation effect of the Fortune Divine Jade had actually passed. At this time, he had only cultivated the supreme immortal technique, reverse predicting the future, to the minor completion realm. The first activation effect of the Fortune Divine Jade, other than helping me cultivate the supreme immortal technique to the perfection realm, is actually exhausted just like that? Is it because the supreme immortal technique, consumes too much energy to cultivate, or reverse predicting the future consumes too much energy? Tsing Hui took a deep breath, and in the next moment, his gaze once again focused on the Fortune Divine Jade. In any case, the Fortune Divine Jade contained a lot of Tao aura, so there was no need to be polite. With this thought, the Fortune Divine Jade was activated once again. With the second activation of the Fortune Divine Jade, the Supreme Immortal Technique, reverse predicting the future, advanced once again. As Tsing Hui's spiritual world transformed, he could vaguely sense a vast flowing river that could not be described with words. When he focused his mind and carefully looked at the long river, he could vaguely see the tip of the iceberg of fragmented images. Reverse predicting the future, perfection. Continue. Tsing Hui carefully sensed the fragmented images that were dissipating. From these images, he could vaguely determine that they were his various experiences when he was still in the divine wilderness world, mainly regarding the election of the deity's Templar Master. Without stopping, he once again began to deduce the supreme immortal technique, reverse predicting the future. During the process of deduction, Tsing Hui vaguely felt that he was getting closer and closer to the vast river, and the images he sensed gradually became clearer and more coherent. However, before these images could completely stabilize, the cultivation state came to an abrupt end. This somewhat familiar change shocked Tsing Hui. Could it be, as he focused his mind to sense, the Fortune Divine Jade actually fell silent again? The activated state brought about by 1,000 Tao auras is actually not enough to fully deduce the minor completion realm of reverse predicting the future. This terrifying consumption made Tsing Hui inwardly gasp. After pondering for a while, Tsing Hui finally made up his mind again. Isn't it just Tao auras? I have plenty of them. Again. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.